Hey guys, welcome to Fanfic Fanatics. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Deku had Dragonborn powers and had Harem? Before starting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in MHA fanfictions. This story is Dragonborn by DenizSara132. Now without wasting any more time, let's dive in. This was a cruel world, full of injustice. From the moment of your birth your value was set. No matter, he learned that at a young age. Flashback. A boy was inside a cage. From magic-canceling collar for elves, to durability and strength enchanted chains for upper-class beast man, he was bound by all manners of chains. The cage made out of pure metal, and it was small, definitely too small for him. Looking around, he saw other slaves just like him, and none of them were human. Elves, bunny folk, cat folk and other races. They were all in cages. A few that could handle the heat of the desert were outside, working while tired and fatigued. But the pain of the whips was worse for them, he assumed. He never really felt it. The pain of being whipped at least. Then again, his scales were too durable for that. So the slavers used other methods to make him obedient. Suddenly there was an explosion. Dust was everywhere, but due to his heightened senses he was still able to see everything, even more than the other slaves with enhanced senses. It was odd for him. The humans fighting another human. He never seen such a behavior from other races. Then again, he didn't know much about them. Only humans he knew. And he hated them. So why? Why did one human killed every slaver and freed them? He didn't understood it. His cage was broken. This man had freed all the slaves and used magic to heal them. Only he was left. Looking up at him, he growled in anger. How could he trust him? How could he not know this was not a trap? And this human surely had guts to smirk in front of him. Every other human he encountered so far all covered in fear. Even his own abusers feared him so much that he was sitting in that special cage, drowning in chains. Given how powerful you kind is, it is no surprise that they chained you to that extent. You are confused, aren't you? Question mark, question mark, question mark. 1. What? You were confused. You wonder how could humans fear you yet are willing to abuse you the way they did. And how come it was another human that is freeing you? It is only what cowards and weak-minded do, boy. The incompetent who cannot grow strong, so they result to drag others down to feel better about themselves. And only a true hero doesn't wish for others to suffer the way he did. That's why I free you, all of you, right now. What is that? A hero? Well, I guess it wouldn't make sense to you if I were to explain it to you. It is only something you can figure it out yourself. How does one figure it out? Glad you asked. I can help you figure it out if you are willing. He looked up to the man. His body was mostly covered in shade due to the sun, but the boy could still see that bright grin the hero had, and the hand that was extended. Flashback ends. He was laying on a large branch that was growing from the side of the cliff. It was big and sturdy enough to carry him and all of his equipments. Looking at the sky, thinking about the time he met his savior and father figure. As a dragon he was bound to live a long life. Question mark, question mark, question mark. 1. I wonder where I would be right now if it wasn't for you. Would I still do the things I did, or would I fell to a darker path? I can never know. I guess it is meaningless to think about such things. While thinking, he yawned. It has been a while since the last time he had slept. Being what he is, he didn't need much sleep. But this was a rare moment where he needed it. Morning. On the road there was a heavily damaged carriage and the horses had long since ran away. Surrounding it were other dead horses and multiple dead guards. A young woman was running through the forest with tears in her eyes. Her convoy had just got attacked by a massive horde of bandits and she was the only survivor. They had killed her guards quickly and her aides only managed to buy her maybe 10 seconds to run. But she knew they were getting close. She was never physically that capable and she possessed no skills to defend herself. While running, to her bad luck she reached a dead end. She was facing a rock wall or sorts. While she could run to her felt and right and she knew they would still catch her. While thinking on what to do she felt a big jolt of pain on her leg. She instantly fell to her knees as she noticed that she was hit by an arrow. Bandit. Finally. You got nowhere to run, baby. She turned to the man that was following her in horror. She tried to crawl away but they caught her instantly. She tried to struggle but she weak body was no match for their strength. They instantly pinned her down. Bandit. Hey boss. We only need her alive, right? Not in one piece or anything. Boss. If you are talking about her purity, do what you want. Bandit. Really? Hear that, boys? We got a fresh hole for our pleasure. All the man cheered in a twisted sense of lust and excitement. Hearing this, the girl looked at them with even more fear. She started to cry. Question mark, question mark, question mark. 2. Let me go. Somebody please. Help. Bandit 1. Oh no 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 girl, you are not going anywhere until we say so. The man said that and started to tear her clothes away, revealing her naked untouched body. The girl tried to struggle more in tears but to no avail. She was in their mercy now. Question mark, question mark, question mark. 2. No please stop. One man held her arms in place above her head, while another one forcibly spread her legs, revealing her untouched flower. Question mark, question mark, question mark. 2. No please don't hurt me. She tried to speak more but one guy covered her mouth. With his other hand the man grabbed knife and pointed at her. Bandit 2. Now, be fucking quiet or you will feel much more pain as a punishment. Now be a good whore and satisfy us all. He said it while gently dragging the knife on his hand to her body. So gently in fact, that it didn't leave a scar, but the cold steel was enough to make her shiver in fear a lot. While the girl was crying and begging for mercy, a powerful wind blew, and when it a very large sword fell to the ground with a crash. All the bandits, even the ones that were about to defile the girl, paused for a moment and turned. Bandit 1. What the? Bandit 3. That's a way too big sword. Is it for a giant or something? While looking around, someone looked up only to see there was a man sleeping on a large branch that was growing out of the center of the cliff. Bandit 4. Guys, there is someone up there. All. What? Everyone suddenly looked at the sky and indeed they could see the blurry shape of a man on a branch really high up. Mage. That's at least 70 meters. Boss. What are you waiting for? Shoot it down. Captain yelled at the mage. He complied and shot a fireball at the branch. The man on the bench rolled to his right and fell, crashing to the ground. Everyone see the man covered in ash and dust laying on the ground. Boss. Ha, what a fool, camping on such a spot. Wou. He couldn't finish as the man simply got back up while limping a bit. But he didn't seem like he was limping out of pain. More like. Mage. Is he? Out of nowhere the man yawned while muttering loudly and rubbed his eyes open. Question mark, question mark, question mark. 1. Yawn. Sleepy. What the hell? Is there an imperu? After he rubbed his eyes open I looked at the situation in front of him. A group of men wielding crude weapons and armor. A magician, and a big guy with proper armor and equipments. And there was also a young woman pinned down by 4 men. She was in tears and scared as the man had ripped her clothes and one was spreading her legs. She dressed in elegant but a sexy noble attire, giving him the impression that she was young noble. Looking at her, he then looked at the rest of the man, then at her again, and to the man again. After a moment of back and forth he simply slapped his own face in exhaustion. Then he sighed heavily. Question mark, question mark, question mark. 1. It is too early in the morning for this shit. Without anyone could even respond he rushed at a guy in front of him. Appearing in front of him in a blink of an eye he punched a man so hard in the chest he opened a hole. And all the shattered ribs flew so fast one of the larger pieces pierced another man's head, killed him as well. While running to another one, he opened his hand. He activated his telekinesis ability to summon his sword back to him. The sword got released from the ground, flew to his hand. He punched another bandit. He caught the blade in a spinning motion at the same time. Without wasting a bit he used his shouts while still spinning. Wold. He appeared right next to the guys that was pinning the woman. With a swing of his sword, he cleaved them to pieces. In fact he cleaved so hard he ended up sending a slash attack that killed half of the opponents instantly. Sensing a large fireball and multiple other attacks coming to his way he used his free hand to cast a minor barrier. Normally he wouldn't use that for such weak attacks but he didn't want to put the woman behind her in any more danger. The barrier blocked all the attacks leaving everyone shocked. Bandit 5. What the hell? Mage. No chanting, he is a sorcerer. Turning to the girl to see if she was hurt, he noticed that she was fine other than the wound on her leg. She was looking at her both in shock and with hope. Seeing her pleading eyes he smiled and reassured her. She blushed after seeing that. Turning to the group in front of him. Question mark, question mark, question mark. 1. You call that a fireball? Taking a deep breath he muttered. Y'all. A large wave of fire erupted from his mouth, burning the magician and those around him. Whoever that was left afterwards were now shitting their pants. The boss tried to stay calm, but he also wanted to run. He wasted no time rushing at them. One by one he killed them. The boss with his big armor lifted his shield up, but his sword was too sharp for that. Like butter he cleaved him in half, killing him instantly. Once everyone were all disposed of, he wailed up to the girl and kneeled next to her. She had watched all of this with fear and awe. Looking up at her kneel right next to her made her a bit nervous. Her clothes were all torn to pieces and her private parts were showing. Looking at her closely he noticed that she had pale skin, light blue hair and blue eyes. She was also wearing a now severely torn light blue dress and white high heels. There was a wound on her leg, one that he planned on treating. But first he needed to make her calm. Her heartbeat was so fast he didn't even need enhanced hearing to hear it. Question mark question mark question mark. 1. All right sweetie. Stay calm. They are gone and you are safe now. Take a deep breath. First, he used high cloak to cover her up like a blanket. Then he patted her head. Once he did, she started to shed tears of joy as she hugged her savior. Feeling her tears and sobbing, he decided to let her hug her emotions out. After some time she felt better, but she was still shivering. Question mark question mark question mark. 1. What is your name? Psycho. My name is Psycho, Psycho Intelli of the Intelli household. Question mark question mark question mark. 1. You are Baron's daughter. Can I call you Psycho? She nodded. Izuku. Well, I am Izuku, an adventurer. I was heading to the town since I got a business there. You are wounded. Don't mind if I take a look. She shook her head, giving him the green light. Izuku nodded and uncovered her leg. Upon closer inspection he was able to smell the toxins covering the wound. Not to mention the wound itself was turning to a wrong shade. Izuku. Shit, was it an arrow? Psycho. Why yes sir. They ripped it out after they caught me. Izuku. I see. Can you move your legs? Psycho. No, it hurts. Izuku. Hold on. Looking around he found an arrowhead and smelled it, noticing that it was the one she was shot with. Licking the arrow he tasted paralysis toxin induced with it. Cursing underneath his breath he turned to her. Going back to examine the wound he noticed that it had hit her bone and probably broke it. Getting back up he looked upwards towards the branch he was sleeping on. Izuku. Arrow they shot you with was toxic. Let me grab my bag, I think I had something for that. Without wasting a beat he jumped upwards. He jumped so high it left Psycho shocked. Once reaching to the burned branch he saw his bag attached to the wall with his knife in the rocks. Izuku. Good thing I hung it like that. Getting his bag and landing back down he looked for some antidotes. He found a bottle. He was mostly poison resistant but he still carried a bottle. Why? Because you never know. Izuku. Alright, drink this. It is not the most effective but it should at least help. Drinking the bitter potion she almost choked on it. But she managed to drink it all. Izuku. Alright, I gotta at least close the wound. Lifting her leg again he used a healing miracle he knew. It was minor healing and sadly it didn't help much with the broken bone. But as long as the wound was closed she should be fine. Looking at the healing spell she was amazed. Sure, her leg was still hurting but no, not so much anymore. She looked at him in wonder. He was really strong and durable, and on top of that he could even use both attack and healing magic. After that he grabbed a rag from his backpack and a stick. Then he tied it to her leg to keep it stable. Psycho. Sir, are you an adventurer? Izuku. You could say that. I am a veteran. Now, if you don't mind. Psycho. Era. Izuku grabbed her, had lifted her up bridal style. She yelped in surprise and embarrassment. Izuku. Your leg is still broken. You might feel less pain now, but if you try to take a step on your leg, it will hurt a lot like before. Not to mention you got poisoned. While the antidote should help, the poison is a rather powerful one. First off, where is your carriage? She pointed at a direction but she struggled to lift her arm. She managed to do it but with great difficulty. She got scared when this happened. Izuku. It is the poison starting to affect your body. It was supposed to make you unable to move. But the antidote had softened its effects. Still, I wouldn't advise you to move at all. First of let's see what's left of your carriage. Upon arriving he saw a burnt carriage and a whole squad of dead guards with a few bandits. Or that's what they seemed like. There was also a dead maid and a butler. Seeing their corpses Psycho cried. Izuku. You knew them. Psycho. Since I was a little G girl. Garrett, Amanda. Izuku. I am sorry for your loss. Let me see what I can salvage. He gently put her down. While looking around, he saw the carriage and blew air to it by gently whispering a word. Foos. A small shockwave appeared and blew the ash away, revealing a partially charred luggage. Opening it, it revealed clothes that would belong to a noble lady. Some of them were damaged but others seemed okay. Izuku. Alright, good news. Some of your clothes are still in one piece. I will help you put them on. She blushed hearing that, and got nervous while trying to hold on to his cloak. But she agreed, seeing no other option. After helping her wear her dress, he couldn't help but to blush a bit given how gorgeous she looked right now. Izuku. Wow. You look beautiful, Psycho. Psycho. Why, you mean it. Thank you, noble sir. Izuku. Sit here. Inside this carriage you should be fine for now. I will check on a few things. He left despite Psycho's worries. Given what just happened, she was quite afraid of surroundings right now. Luckily Izuku didn't take much time. He returned in a minute at best. Izuku. Let's go. He picked her up again and began to walk to the city. Several hours have passed but Izuku showed no sign of being tired despite carrying her. And that was something Psycho picked up on an hour ago. She was worried that she was making this kind adventurer work too much on top of everything he had already done for her. Psycho. Sir Izuku. Izuku. What is it? Psycho. Are you tired? Please rest if you are. It is okay for me. You have done enough. Izuku. It is fine. This is pretty easy for me. I am used to carry massive boulders for hours at end. Psycho. Really? Izuku. My master was tough when it came to training. Psycho. Oh. About that. I got a question. Are you a sorcerer? Izuku. Sort of. Why? Psycho. I am also one. For a moment Izuku stopped walking, looking down at her. Psycho. I came from my mother's side, but my supposed power does basically nothing fancy. Izuku. Really now? And exactly what is your power? Psycho. It boosts my mind. I become smarter. My perception is also increased. I am able to memorize what I read better. It is nothing really. I used to use it to study better, but other than that it has no use really. She brushed it off. But Izuku looked at her. Izuku. Psycho. You could not believe how many wizards would salivate over for such an ability. Trust me, I met a lot of them. Hearing this she smiled with a blush. Seeing this Izuku also chuckled. And they continued walking. However, as they were still going, Izuku heard a grumble. Looking down, Psycho blushed as her hunger was kicking in and she could hide it no longer. Noticing this Izuku sighed. Izuku. Alright. Sadly this isn't a good place for you to camp, but I got something for you to eat while we are going. He looked around and saw a big tree he can lean on. Then he gently dropped down and leaned on it while Psycho was sitting on his lap. Izuku. I figure your body is a bit too fragile, so I thought you would be more comfortable like this. I got some beef jerky I smoked last week. I hope you enjoy wild animal beef. It is going to be salty. She didn't say anything and simply looked at him with a blush. With his other hand he grabbed a sack. Gently placing it on Psycho's belly he opened the sack and a salty scent of beef appeared. Izuku grabbed a jerky and took a bite. Then he took another one to give it to her. Izuku. How are your arms? Is it still difficult to move them? Psycho. It is better. His movements were still really slow but she managed to grab a jerky with both hands. But Izuku noticed that she was still struggling. After managing to eat a couple Izuku reached into his bag again to pull out some water for her. Izuku. Here, drink this. For now this should ease your stomach. Once I find a better camping area first I will prepare a better dinner. After she drank some water Izuku put his belongings away and they got back up. Or more like Izuku got up while carrying her. She was again worried that he would get tired but Izuku reassured her that she was light as feather to him. And given as strong as he was, she wasn't sure if he was just being polite or very serious. Evening. After hours of walking Izuku finally managed to find a good camping location. He was also able to sense some wild animals around for him to hunt. Sadly he had already finished most of his meat rations long ago and was hunting daily for meat. He was happy that he still had some spices. Even spices that can be too lethal for humans. And most importantly, he still had regular wine, some dwarven wine and rum. Yeah, they were a must in every travel for him. Sitting down, he laid his cloak on the ground widely and put Psycho on it. Pulling his bag down, he started to pull out a lot of items. Some were too big for bag itself, and there were also other items that shouldn't fit inside a bag like that. Izuku turned to see Psycho looking at the bag, surprised. Izuku. Spatial enchantment. A wizard's gift. It holds 10 times more things than a bag of its size should. Psycho. That's amazing. Izuku. It is a new discovery for the Wizard Association. So it isn't exactly as efficient as they desire, but I am sure in the future they will make better ones. As Izuku was preparing the cooking utensils, he grabbed sword and stabbed it to the ground near Psycho. On the hilt there were runes carved on rings. With a few adjustments and minor chanting, he created a barrier with the sword as its power source. Seeing the barrier for surprised Psycho. Izuku. A friend's suggestion, in case of someone trying to steal my stuff. I asked wouldn't it be better if the sword would appear on my back at all times. He said that it would involve spatial and teleportation magics and they were quite complicated. And this would be easier and more efficient. Hence the barrier. Inside, you will be safe while I am hunting. I will be back soon, okay? Psycho was nervous but she nodded. Later, Izuku came back carrying a huge boar. It didn't took him to hunt one since he was fast. And Psycho looked more relieved upon seeing him return. With the help of some spices and a few pieces of bread he had left, he prepared a stew for her. And since she was still sick, Izuku decided to feed her. Izuku was sitting next to the fire while Psycho was laying on his lap. He raised her up a bit to feed her. She was embarrassed but complacent. While eating, Izuku wanted to cheer her up, so he told her a story about one of his former encounters. Psycho listened it with excitement. After everything was done, he put out the fire and picked her up to continue. Despite it being the nighttime, he could still see like it was daylight. So he could still go on. But that wouldn't be the case for Psycho. He knew soon she would fall asleep and waited for that moment. And once she fell asleep, he continued the journey. Psycho. HMMPH. He looked down to see her snuggling to his chest. Somehow, despite everything, she was feeling safe with him being around, but that was a good sign. It would mean that she would recover from this incident quickly. Izuku also chuckled and kept on carrying her through the night, like her knight in shining armor. As the night passed and Izuku was still walking while carrying Psycho bridal style. But when she fell asleep quickly due to both stress and the poison. At this point the antidote probably wore off as he though, or that was simply his assumption. So now that she was sleeping and it was night time, he decided to pick up the pace. He was a lot faster than a regular human. And there was also the option of using Whirlwind Spirit. But using that shout in rapid succession was bad for the stomach. And he didn't want to guess what would happen to Psycho if he were to use that too many times. He also thought of flying, but that would be a bad idea. First off, higher he goes the colder it got and the windier it gotten, and Psycho wasn't dressed for that. She was already sick, so to say, and getting more sick was out of option. And the both two options would freak her out if she were to wake up. So, he simply ran. He was running at a certain pace to make sure she was still sleeping. Time skip. The sun was rising and he saw a city in the horizon. Seeing the city, he smiled. He knew that there were going to be some guards at the gate. On one hand, he was worried that some guards could misunderstand the situation. He wouldn't blame them if that was the situation. In a nutshell, he was carrying a sleeping sick princess on his arms. On the other hand, it would have been better if she could get better medical treatment from a more skilled doctor than him. Sure, he had the proper paperwork to get anywhere, but his situation was still tricky, especially considering the times he encountered two hot-headed guards in the past. But as he was slowly approaching the gates, he noticed that Psycho was waking up. Noticing this, he smiled. Izuku. Good morning. She was still groggy and started to cough a bit. Psycho. Sir. Izuku. She seemed like she was still out of it. He wasn't surprised since she wasn't completely cured. But once she was awake, Izuku knew things would get better. Slowly her consciousness came to her. Izuku. How are you feeling? She looked up at his shaded face. With a small tired smile, she nodded. Psycho. I am okay, tired. Izuku. Well, it is only be expected. Your body is still fighting against the poison. But I got good news. We are close to the city. Once in front of the gates, I need your help to get inside the castle. She slowly nodded but confused a bit. Psycho. Gates, wait. Izuku. Yeah, we arrived to the city. She was surprised upon hearing this. Just last night they were camping in the woods really far away from the city. Looking around she noticed it was the lands next to the city itself. And once turning her head to the direction he was walking to he really saw the city. Psycho. What? But how? When? You. Izuku. Last night, when you fell asleep I continued the journey. The idea of him continued the journey at night time was unsettling for her. Mostly because T was dangerous and he didn't have to do that for her. But then it hit her. Psycho. B. But we were still days away from the city. Izuku. I can run really fast. Not to mention you were sleeping so well so I didn't wanna wake you up either. She didn't question him. But she started to cough noticing how dry her throat was. Izuku. Are you okay? Psycho. I am. Cough. Water, please. Izuku. Right. He gently kneeled down and placed her legs on his knees. With his free hand he grabbed his water sack. Opening it he gently gave it to her. He wasn't sure if she was still too weak to hold it. So he decided to help her out. Izuku. All right. Drink it slowly. After a few sips of water she coughed one more time and smiled. Psycho. Thank you, sir. Izuku. It is all right. While on his way to the gates he narrowed his eyes. His eyes could also see further into distance as if he was using a spyglass. It was another perk of his enhanced senses. And thanks to that he was able to see a guard looking at them as said spyglass. Normally he would just smirk at him as a means of fun but right now, he was carrying an injured civilian. A noble, injured civilian. Noticing that the man was looking at them intensely simply looked back at the guard and nodded. He saw the man panic and run back to somewhere else. He could only assume he was running to inform his superiors. After some moments, he was able to hear stomps in front of the gate with his enhanced hearing. Looking closely he saw many guards were now in front of the gate waiting for them. In the center there was a man with a better grade armor than the rest of the guards. He could only assume that it was a captain. Upon arriving to the gates the guards immediately run to him with the higher ranking officer in front of the group. Izuku narrowed his eyes a bit, got slightly tense, but Psycho smiled seeing him. Psycho. Sir Izuku, it is okay. I know him. He is a captain. Izuku. Do you know? Well, that will make things easier. For a moment the man wasn't sure and his hand was on his sword. He hadn't drew his sword but he could the moment a wrong word were to be said. Captain. Why you are, young lady. Why are you? What happened? Where are your escorts? Who is this man? Izuku. They are dead. Killed by bandits. Skilled ones. I rescued her. But please let me pass quickly. They used poison arrows and I am not sure if my antidote will hold any longer. Her leg is also broken. Can I find quality clerics or an alchemist in the castle? At first the man was really hesitant. But Psycho spoke to him. Psycho. It is all right. He tells the truth. This man saved my life. Quote. After hearing this the man nodded and quickly turned around. Captain. Get horses and a carrier her immediately. We will take her to the castle. Izuku. Just grab a horse and lead me to the castle. I'm fast. He was about to protest but she clung on to him. This made the captain silent and nodded. Captain. Follow me. He ran back inside the gate and hopped on a horse. Izuku. You go as fast as possible. I will follow. He wasn't sure but did as Izuku requested. While riding the horse as fast as possible he was sure he would rush past them. But turning his head he was shocked to see Izuku casually keeping pace with him while still carrying Psycho bridal style. Psycho was weak but still tried to cling onto him while closing her eyes. Upon arriving to the castle they were brought inside without question and they were taken to her room. There, it was a big room. He surely seen bigger but this was still quite big. Gently putting her to the bed he sat on a chair next to her. After waiting the door opened and with it, multiple people entered the room. First was a man with light blue hair similar to Psycho and wearing the noble's attire. Izuku could only assume he was the Baron. Next to him was a cleric and a man he could only assume as a doctor. And behind them was the captain and several more guards. The cleric and the doctor immediately went to check up on her. Izuku. My healing magic isn't the best and I am better with amplifying recovery speed, but I managed to close her wounds without a scar. But sadly her leg is still broken. She is also poisoned with a paralysis poison. The antidote I had at that time helped but she still needs a better potion. They both looked at him and nodded. Upon examining her they were able to confirm that he was telling the truth. So they went to work with it. The cleric casted superior miracles to heal her bones and the doctor gave her a better potion. After they were done they let her rest while Izuku, the guard captain and the Baron left the room. Intelli. Follow me. Izuku followed them to a balcony. There he sat with the Baron in front of him and the guard behind the Baron. Intelli. I don't need to know who are you, but I need to know what happened to my daughter. Izuku then explained what happened. How he encountered Psycho and how he intervened before the bandits were about to rape her. Hearing this, Baron bowed slightly in appreciation. Intelli. You have done a great deed for us. Izuku. It is not a big deal. Frankly, it happened to be pure coincidence, but it also helped me get an audience with you. Intelli. Me, Izuku. Yes. Since she is safe, we can return to formalities. I am Izuku Midoriya. And yes, I am an adventurer. Speaking of my occupation, I am here for you actually, Intelli. Captain. Hey adventurer, please, you need to speak with more manner in front of the Baron. Izuku. I know, but I don't really care. I have something for you. With that, Izuku pulled out a letter addressed directly to him. The letter had imperial stamp coming from the capital. Opening it, Baron read it thoroughly, and more he read it, more shocked he became. Intelli. This is. Then you are. Izuku. Correct. I also have one more letter to deliver to the Adventurer Guild Master. Intelli. What has to be done? Izuku. If it is what I think it is, then don't let people leave the city. And make sure every nearby village or farm is evacuated. It prefers hunting isolated targets at its initial stages. Intelli. What is this monster? Izuku. It is a wrathful devourer. A powerful demon. Described as an entity of darkness that consumes anything it touches like a bottomless ocean. It has a shapeless body made out of a thick black substance, born from hatred, jealousy and demonic energy. Captain. What does this monster hunt? Izuku. It can consume nearly anything and assimilate the consumed. It can gain a lot from what it consumes. This makes it versatile and unpredictable. While it cannot exactly become a person after consuming them, it can still learn. It is common for them to hunt animals first and develop animalistic traits or predatory instincts. After that it switches to smarter beings. Most commonly humans. When consuming humans it starts to learn and become a lot more intelligent. Won't be able to talk or took the appearance of humans, but it has the potential to get far too cunning even for veteran adventurers. Not to mention it grows stronger physically. It can also absorb ores or minerals. This severely boosts their strength and size. Therefore trying to shoot it with metal arrows is no go. Nor trying to attack it with regular weapons. It is another story if the weapon is enchanted, but if the enchantment is lacking then that would be a big problem. Seal any nearby mine. While rocks can also do the same, it is far too inefficient for its taste. This gives us the advantage. You can use catapults to throw rocks at it. Or switch to stone-tipped arrows if you have any. Or slingshots if any soldier is skilled at it. Captain. What about magic? Izuku. It is mostly heat resistant but only up to a certain level. That's because rather than negating it, it is capable of absorbing large amounts of heat with no problem. But after a limit it will start to waver. Other types are good, however. Lightning and ice spells are useful. I am sure your court wizard should be able to cast it. Izuku then got up and sternly looked at him. Izuku. While it can sound similar to a weak slime in some aspects, I can assure you, it is far deadlier and powerful. They are on par with B ranks right from the get-go, and only grow rapidly stronger as time progresses. I killed several of its kind before, and with half of those encounters, by the time I got to them, they were already on par with S ranks. Strongest one ever recorded was said to be an SS rank. If you have even a little bit of common sense, you will understand what is at stake here. The Baron and the Captain nodded. Izuku. Also one more thing. About the group that attacked your daughter. Intelli. What is it? Izuku. Their leader, since his armor seemed far too good for a random group and they even had a mage among them. It is extremely rare for a mage to join a bandit group. Not to mention they were applying paralysis poison to their arrows. If that was a random encounter they wouldn't use such a toxin. Rather they would have used leather poisons to make sure they can kill their target even with a scratch. So after killing them and securing Psycho, I decided to check if I was missing anything. Upon searching I found a damaged letter. Couldn't made out the whole thing, but it had the name of your daughter. So that whole incident was a planned ambush rather than a random encounter. An ambush specifically meant for capturing your daughter. Both the Baron and the captain looked at each other with worried expressions. Izuku. I have an idea on who might be after them. She told me about her sorcerer abilities. And considering the monster I just described, it is far too much of a coincidence, isn't it? But that's not the worrying part. The really problem was their intel. Best case scenario, they have alternative but effective means to gather intel. Worst case scenario, they got a mole. Now the captain and the Baron looked pale. Izuku. I won't be able to tell which is which until I get to their base of operations. However, you must still be on your guard. Izuku then got up and moved to the edge of the balcony. Izuku. I am going to head to the guild now. Do what you must. And so will I. With that, Izuku jumped out of the window, leaving a shocked captain and a Baron. Time skip. As he was walking in a random alleyway, he heard some commotion. Or more accurately, he was passing a dark alleyway and he heard it thanks to his enhances hearing. Deciding to check it out, he saw a bunch of guys surrounding a girl and a woman dressed in a provocative priestess outfit. She had pink hair, flowing hair and blue eyes. She was wearing thigh-high boots with high heels, a white loincloth with golden straps wrapping around her waist, and a wrap halter top with inner side boob and cleavage. Her midriff was fully exposed and she was carrying a magic staff with her. Izuku. A priestess of Mara. Is she a missionary? As he approached them, he noticed that the group was harassing the woman and the kid. Realizing this could end badly, he decided to intervene. Thug 1. Come on sweetheart, one night couldn't hurt. I am telling you, I will pay you well. For the last time, sir, I am not a prostitute. Thug 2. Yeah sweetheart, sure. Whatever. Come with us. It will worth your time. One guy grabbed the woman and tried to pull her closer. The woman on the other hand resisted. Hey, don't touch me. The girl was scared but still tried to help this kind woman who was helping her out. She reached for the mom's hand but she was too weak to do anything. Girl. Please let big sister go. She was hit back by another guy and she fell backwards. Tears built up in her eyes due to pain and fear. Seeing this, the woman kneeled down and hugged her, gently trying to comfort her. Hey, how could you? She was just a sweet child trying to help her family. Thug 3. And if you really feel bad for her, why don't you come with us? You can help yourself and the brat. The man grabbed her again. And this time hard. The woman tried to resist but this time she couldn't. The man was now forcing her. He pushed her to a wall and locked both of her hands. The priestess ended up dropping her staff to the ground. Feeling helpless, she started to grow even more nervous than before and got fearful of what these men could do to her. Let me go. Someone. Help. Thug 1. This is a remote part of the city, no one will hear you out. Now be a good GI. He couldn't finish as he felt someone grab his shoulder. Izuku. Hey dipshit. He turned to see if it was one of his men but noticed that it was someone else. He saw a tall man with green hair and a slight beard and green eyes. Thug. What the he? He couldn't finish his sentence as Izuku grabbed him by his neck and yanked him backwards. He threw him so hard, the man crushed to a sturdy wall and fell to the ground after making a dent. On the ground he coughed a lot of blood from his mouth and his eyes rolled back and he just laid there, completely passed out in his own blood. Looking at him, Izuku didn't even show a bit of concern and he simply looked at the rest of the guys. Izuku. Who is next? One person yelled in rage and went for a punch but Izuku dodged and grabbed his arm. With a squeeze, he completely shattered his bones to paste. The man screamed in pain and when Izuku let go, his arm was now dangling off his shoulder like a piece of cloth. He was now on the ground turning left and right while screaming in pain. From the corner of his eye, he saw another man wielding a club charge at him. Seeing it was only a wooden club, Izuku didn't even bother to dodge. When it hit his head, the club simply shattered to pieces, making its wielder freeze in fear completely. Izuku sent that man flying with a gut punch. When landing on the ground, he was bleeding a lot due to the newly opened hole in his guts. Izuku just turned to the rest of them. Izuku. You attempt something like this one more time, and you will beg me to treat you just like them. He pointed at the people he just defeated. People that are probably dead or close to being one. Seeing how strong this man was, the rest of the goons run away without a second thought while carrying their fallen comrades. Seeing this, Izuku just sighed and turned to the woman and the girl. The two were just on the ground. As Izuku was dealing with the thugs, the woman managed to rush at the girl and gently hugged and comforted her. Then they saw this man absolutely destroy the thugs that was attacking them. They were both shocked at the sheer power this man seemingly displayed effortlessly. Once the rest of the thugs ran away, he sighed and approached the two. Izuku, are you okay? Upon looking at her savior, the woman blushed slightly. He had green hair tied to a ponytail and green eyes. He was really tall, and thanks to his green shirt with short sleeves, she was able to see that he had a well-built figure. His right arm had bandages covering his wrist and some of his forearm. He was also wearing dark blue pants and red boots along with a cloak. Izuku reached for her hand and helped her get up gently. Considering the power he just displayed, she was surprised at how gentle he had just got with her. And that only got her blush to intensify. Bowing profusely, she thanked him. "Thank you, kind sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Izuku. It is nothing. I heard the commotion and decided to check it out." He then kneeled down and looked at the kid. He had a neutral but a relatively kind expression. She was just hugging the priestess's leg thigh nervously. "Izuku, how are you holding, kid?" She tried to toughen up a bit but was still crying. "Girl, I am okay, mister. Thank you, kind sir." Izuku simply patted her head gently. Feeling his gentle hand, she loosened her grip, feeling more secure. "Izuku, I gotta ask. I am new to this town, but even I can tell this isn't a place for a kid and a Mara priestess to venture, especially alone." Hearing this, the woman was surprised. "You know I am a priestess of Mara, Izuku. I seen a couple before. I know how the Pantheon blessings work. Are you a missionary?" "Sort of. Or at least I am trying to be one. Sadly, people are a bit close-minded here, so they refuse to acknowledge me." "Izuku, can't blame them. Your order's influence ends long before reaching here. I can imagine they never even heard of it. Sadly, but I am trying to spread the word. I joined the Adventurers Guild for work and reputation a few months ago." "Izuku, really now? What is your rank?" She looked down, sad and dejected, and almost ashamed. Izuku, the lowest rank. I was trying to join parties for help, but they don't believe my capabilities. So I was stuck doing non-combat oriented work, or regular labor." "Izuku, not surprising either. Your order's clerics work differently, more situational than usual. But it isn't so bad. I get to meet the locals, talk to them and help them out. Some of the elderly cook food for me and we chat. Their company is really amazing. And I even met this little angel helping out her family like the big girl she is." "Izuku, that brings me to it. Why are you here?" "I followed her here. I wasn't sure what was going on either. And then these goons appeared. Sweetie, why were you coming here?" She looked down ashamed. She was shaking and tears were creeping around her eyes. But Izuku reassured her. "Izuku, if you are scared that something bad might happen, don't worry. I won't let it happen. Tell us what is going on and we will help you." She was still hesitant. "Izuku, all right, how about this? Let's leave this place. And by the way, I didn't get both of your names." "Sylvie. I am Sylvie. Lena. I am Lena. I am Izuku. Nice to meet you both. All right, you two. Let's go to the Adventurers Guild. I am sure they also serve food here." "Sylvie. They do. They work with the tavern owner. Since most adventurers here need a place to eat, they decided to make a partnership with the tavern." "Izuku. Fair. And how about this, since I am new here? Why don't you show me around as we go to the guild hall?" 3 of them left and arrived at the guild. It was a big building next to an inn, and even near them was a blacksmith. Upon entering the place, everyone were just drinking and talking. But moments after their arrival, a man shouted, "Drunk! Why is this slut here?" Everyone were silent and turned to the group. She stopped for a moment, but Izuku put her hand over her shoulder to reassure her. "Izuku, it is fine." Turning his head, Izuku saw a drunk man approaching them. "Drunk. We, don't need prostitutes, here." Izuku facepalmed hearing this. But the man got mad due to that. The man approached them, but Izuku got between the Sylvie and the man. "Drunk. Hey, I am talking to. Izuku. Listen. Sit there and sober up, and then maybe you will get out of this fine." "Drunk. What did you saw?" But he couldn't finish as Izuku just grabbed him and tossed him outside. He broke the door and a piece of the wall and crashed to a wall opposite to the building. Everyone just looked at Izuku in shock. Izuku on the other hand didn't care too much. Izuku. His armor seemed decent, and he was AD rank. He should survive. You just sit on that table with Lina. As he said that, other people also started to gossip. But Izuku silenced them as he was walking towards the counter for a clerk. He decided to talk. Izuku. I am not going to judge you too much, but she isn't a prostitute acting like a cleric. She is a priestess, a Mara priestess to be exact. For each god among the pantheon there is a order of church dedicated to their worship. It is just the fact that the Church of Akatosh is the biggest and the most common. But that doesn't make the other orders any less important, so she is a priestess just like the others. Rookie. But I never seen her cast a blessing like the other clerics. Izuku. You think a dog can use swords like a human? A cat drink ale. Unlike your regular priest or cleric who worship Akatosh, they worship Mara, the goddess of love and fertility, and therefore, get different blessings. This is the case for all different orders. Her cleric powers simply work differently. Rookie 2. How different? Izuku. Let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why the worship of Akatosh is the most common, or why he is considered the king of gods? It is because his blessings are the strongest. Or at least that's the common idea. In truth, their blessings are the most all-rounded and effective in any situation. Unlike him, the blessings of the rest of the gods are more situational. Therefore, in a random incident, having them around is more beneficial. This is especially the case for the clerics blessed by Mara. As for their blessings, they requires more emotion, especially emotions like love, admiration. Rookie 3. Well, considering her appearance, it is hard to guess she is a priestess. Izuku. That's because it actually helps. Like I said, they use emotions. Clerics of Mara have the ability to absorb the positive emotions of others. More love the surrounding people have, their looks can affect such emotions. As such, they are all blessed with beauty. Combine that with their outfit and you can guess what can happen. It is a double-edged sword sometimes. Like how you treat her like a slut, or a bunch of horny fucks can't holding their desires in check. He then turned to see how Sylvie was doing. She was looking at him in awe. She didn't guess this kind sir would know so much, and the fact that he was defending her warmed her heart. Izuku. A senior's advice to you rookies. Don't judge people by their appearance too much. Once on the counter, he pulled out an envelope and gave it to the clerk. Izuku. Call your guild master here. I got business with him. Looking at the envelope, the clerk panicked. Clerk. I Imperial stamp. All the other clerks turned to see it with shock. Now every other adventurer were also shocked. Clerk. Sir, can I have some identification? Izuku then reached for his wrist. Then removing the bandages, he revealed a tattoo. The clerk looked alarmed. Then in a complete frenzy she looked for a special talisman used for identification. And once his identity was confirmed, the stumbled backwards. Every other clerk was also looking at him alarmed. One clerk even dropped the paperwork she was carrying. Izuku then turned to the girl in front of him. Izuku. Call the guild master, I will be waiting on that table. He pointed to the table Lina and Sylvie was sitting. The girl instantly rushed outside and to the upper floor where the guild master would be. Izuku simply turned and sat next to the two girls. They were simply looking at him in shock. Izuku. Well, that's out of the way. Now tell me, Lina. Exactly why were you there? Lina was conflicted. But before she could speak, he sensed something. Turning around, he saw projectiles coming to his direction. But Izuku casted a barrier to block them. However, when he did, he noticed that one of them could have hit Lina considering the trajectory. And made him angry. The drunk man launched outside, then came rushing towards him while holding a sword ready to charge at him. In the chaos, Sylvie almost fell back and screamed when she saw the projectiles nearly hit them. And when she saw the man charge at them in rage, she just hugged Lina to brace her. But then Izuku also hugged both of them. But still he was upset. So he whispered. Fast. Suddenly the drunk man stopped. He froze in fear as he started to shake. And it wasn't just him. Everyone felt it. Suddenly it all went black. Everyone felt cold. As if it was suddenly winter. They all shivered as they all tried to look around to see where everyone is but failed. And then it appeared. Suddenly Izuku vanished, and in his place was something else. They all saw a massive monster glaring at the man with its cold green glowing eyes. Sylvie and Lina looked up to see it. A mighty beast was covering them with its wings while glaring at the drunk man with a ferocity that no human should be capable of. The cleric could even feel her stomach turn upside down. When it all passed, Izuku looked at the man sternly. He tried to run away but he couldn't. Izuku simply said. Then, suddenly a cyclone engulfed the man and lifted him up. And there was a wind current inside the whole building that was now causing a slight havoc. As the man was floating above, Izuku used his telekinesis to pull him towards himself. Since he was in the air, he was able to do this easier. Then man fell forwards next to Izuku's boots. He tried to get up but right when he was on his knees Izuku grabbed him by the throat. Drunk. What is going on? Everyone turned to see the guildmaster rushing to them. But Izuku was still glaring at the man he was holding. Izuku. You know, I wouldn't be so upset as I am right now if we were alone. At best you would earn a laugh from me with that pathetic attempt you call an attack, but you see. I wasn't alone. And one of those said projectiles could have hit a little girl if it wasn't for my barrier. And if she were to get hurt from that, what do you think would have happened? Izuku tightened his grip. The man cried due to pain and lack of air. Guildmaster tried to stop Izuku but he simply turned to the man. Clerk. Sir, that's the VIP with the letter. Izuku. You surely took your time, Guildmaster. To everyone's surprise, the Guildmaster also bowed slightly to greet him. GM. Sir, please forgive him, he tends to be aggressive when he is drunk. Izuku. Aggressiveness nor being wasted will excuse his actions. He put a civilian, a little child nonetheless, to danger. You gotta give me much better reason to keep him alive right now. GM. He can still be useful to you, sir. I am sure you can find a way. The guild master was nervous. After some thinking he dropped the guy to the ground with a sigh. Izuku. You are right. I can still use him. At worst, he can be a meat shield. That said, I was in the middle of a conversation with this kid. GM. Kid. He pointed at Lena. She was looking up at them. But then little girl saw someone else walking down the stairs. Seeing the man, she panicked and started to cry in anger and sadness. Lena. You. She pointed at the stairs. Izuku turned to see another adventurer coming down from the second floor. The man also saw her and started to panic a bit. But Izuku glared at the man. Then he turned to the crying girl. Izuku. You know him. Lena. He lied to me. Sniff. The potion didn't work. And upon hearing this, Izuku frowned. Turning around, he saw the man trying to run away. He was fast, but not for Izuku. Right before he was in front of the door, however, Izuku dashed. Wold nah. Izuku appeared right in front of him and grabbed him by his throat. Izuku. Where do you think you are going? It seems like there is a situation we got. I really would like to hear it. He dragged the guy and tossed him to the ground. GM. What is going on, sir? Izuku. I found little Lena and Sylvie earlier in the shady parts of the city. I saved them from getting attacked from thugs. Before she was going to explain why she was there, that idiot attacked. And considering how this moron tried to run, he is definitely involved. You two turn here and sit by my side. Sylvie and Lena were nervous but they complied. Considering what they have felt earlier, this man was strong. Really strong. Izuku. Lena, be as loud as you want. In fact, be loud. I want everyone to hear. No fucking talk among each other until I say so, got it? The guildmaster turned to everyone and frantically gestured them to obey him. Everyone else were pretty scared at that point, so they complied. Izuku. Now, explain what happened. Don't be nervous or scared. Nothing is going to happen to you. She nodded and began to tell the story. How her mother was sick and she was desperately selling flowers to support her for a while. Sylvie confirmed that as she had helped her out several times and even stayed in her house for chores more times than she can count. Then she explained how this man promised to give him to sell her a potion that could cure her. Desperate, she loaned money for a gang, but turns out the potion didn't work on her mother one bit. Everyone were shocked to hear what that man did. Izuku examined him with a frown. He was AB rank. A decent soldier, but still cannon fodder for him. Sylvie was disgusted by what she heard but still chose to comfort a crying Lena. The little girl just hugged back. Izuku. And exactly how will you defend yourself? B rank. Why you believe her? Izuku. Why not? It explains why she was in the slums. Is her home situation just as she described? Sylvie. Yes, I tried to cure her a few times but I am not strong enough to do so. Izuku then turned to the man. Izuku. And exactly what did you sell her? B rank. L. Look sir. The potion usually works for the most time, my buddies use it often. I don't know why it didn't work with her mother, I swear. Izuku heard that man's plea but he knew better. He was listening to their heartbeats the whole time. The man was lying and Lena was telling the truth. Izuku. You know, I have a neat ability. My ears can hear much better than humans. You know what I discovered thanks to this neat quirk of mine? All. Izuku. I discovered that when someone lie, their heart beat faster. Your heart was beating faster after you claimed your innocence, whereas Lena's heartbeat was the same, so what does that make you? The man was sweating. Then out of nowhere, B ranker pulled out a dagger to attack at them. Izuku saw this coming and instantly grabbed the man's left arm with his right hand. The man was aiming at the girl. His eyes were dark and Izuku growled. Izuku. Kid, close your eyes. She did so. Izuku then backhanded this guy with left arm so hard he flew to a wall. He passed through the wall, then the street, and then several more wall buildings. And the most shocking part was that Izuku was still holding onto the man's right arm. Looking at this ripped of arm, he simply tossed to the fireplace, watching it burn to ash. Izuku used his shout again and disappeared, leaving a gush of wind inside. Guards. Hold it right there. Everyone turned to see the guards enter the building with the guard captain. Captain. What is going on, Guild Master? GM. Well, you see. He couldn't finish as Izuku returned just as quickly with the man still alive in his hand. He tossed the man to the ground. GM. Why you are, sir, am I? Izuku. Guildmaster. Izuku's voice was harsh. And even guard captain shut his mouth and didn't speak. Izuku. You got a D rank that gets drunk and harasses people, and a B ranker that sells fake drugs to kids. You will explain yourself, or perhaps some replacements are in order here. He gulped in here. Then a clerk rushed at Izuku. Clerk. S sir, please, he is a problematic individual and we tried to call him out but. Izuku. But what, clerk? He is the only B ranker in the city, and rumor has it that he is deeply connected to many gangs in the city. Izuku. Ooh, really now? All right then. It appears some cleaning is in order. Captain. Captain. Why yes sir. Izuku. Get the doctor from the castle. Then go to Lena's home for the necessary treatment. Izuku then pulled out a large sack out of his bag, and placed it on the table. Everyone looked at the large sack full of imperial gold in shock. Izuku. Take it with you, this should cover the fees. Captain. Well sir, that amount is. Izuku. What, not enough? Izuku then pulled out 2 more sacks that were just as big and also full of gold. Captain, I was going to say it was too much, and the Baron ordered that he was paying for all of your expenses during your visit. But Izuku didn't care. Izuku. You 4. He pointed at 4 guards. They flinched when they were pointed. Izuku. You come with me. Rest of you, block the streets. Arrest those surrender and kill the ones that don't. Get as many ropes or chains as you can get. Guildmaster, get me every information you got about the gangs or bandits here, right now. The man rushed back upstairs and after a minute came with a large book. GM. This is all I got sir. Izuku. All right. After I am done we will discuss something else. So don't you dare leave this building. Rest of you, until otherwise, all of you will stay in the city. You can take jobs that can be done in the city but no venturing outside. And trust me, I am telling this frankly out of kindness. As for why, I will explain when I am back. Captain. Is the Baron complying? Captain. He is. We ordered all the artisans to make stone arrows and our troops are stocking pebbles for slingshots and boulders for catapults. Izuku. Good. Since it seems long overdue, I will clear the slums first. Tell your man that if they hear massive explosions, do not interfere, and that would be me. Captain. Yes. With that Izuku left with 4 soldiers. Captain. But sir, what about the gold? Izuku. Keep the change. And the rest of the soldiers left to do what they were told. All that was left was a shocked horde of rookies and clerks. Captain also did what he was told to do and went to the castle with Lena. Sylvie just looked at the guildmaster. He was sweating. Then he turned to the man. GM. Do as he says and no questioning. He ordered. Sylvie. Sir, who is that man? GM. That man is Izuku Midoriya, also known as Dragonborn, an S-rank adventurer. Later, everyone were panicked while the soldiers and adventurers were trying to keep the population calm, but they couldn't blame them for this since even they were afraid. Boom. Hearing another explosion caused them to be fearful again. They were wondering what kind of monster was causing all that havoc in there. In the slums. Izuku was in the slums. 4 soldiers were behind him, looking at him in shock. In front of Izuku was a horde of dead or bandits and gang members. They were surrounded with collapsed buildings and corpses under the rubble, and more people were hanging from the roofs dead. The soldiers also looked to the other direction to see a sea of dead bodies in the street. What amazed them more was he somehow managed to not hurt a single innocent person living here. Looking at the crowd of innocent people behind the 4 guards, he ordered them. Guard. How are you doing this? Izuku. I can smell them. That B ranker was hanging around a lot with those gangs. I can smell their stench on him and vice versa. And from there, I can track the rest. Escort this group outside now. I will continue my hunt in the meantime. If I see any more civilian, I will tell them to arrive here. Come back here to pick them up later. They saluted and left with the group. Izuku simply looked around. In the last hour he had already dealt with hundreds of criminals. But he still decided to check more. This city wasn't as big as the imperial capital, but it was still the largest city in this region. So Izuku expected this to take somewhat long. But it wasn't for nothing. Their presence could pose a danger. Especially considering there was a cult here as well. Last time he ignored a bunch of gangs. Those criminals were hired to cause havoc in city they were in by the people he was tasked to deal with. And only innocent people paid the price for this. Izuku. Looks like I can't even sit down for a drink today. What a mess. The explosions finally stopped after hours of Izuku starting his hunt. At the end, nearly 200 people were arrested and over 1,000 were killed. And nearly just as much of people were escorted out of the slums. Even more guards arrived to help him out, and Izuku was thankful. Once everything died down, Izuku noticed that sun was setting. Izuku returned to the guild hall to see both the guild master still here. Izuku. Good, you are here. Now come with me. The two then left to his office, leaving a nervous horde of rookies and clerks. In his office Izuku explained what was going on, and the letter he had confirmed that. GM. What can we do, sir? Nobody here is equipped for this. Izuku. I know. I will give everyone instructions. In the worst case situation, it should allow you to at least last longer. GM. And what would that be? Izuku. The demon is here and I am not. I will take you to the castle and you coordinate things with the Baron. I already told him what's going on, so he must made up to date with what must be done. With that they left the building and Izuku simply grabbed the man and rushed to the castle. Once reaching near the castle gates, they saw an open field filled with tents. There were also a lot of carts carrying people and supplies. Izuku chucked. Izuku. Glad the Baron is taking his seriously. Once entering, Izuku headed to where the Baron was. Once meeting with him they coordinated the plan. Izuku. I got a set of flares with me. They are enchanted with magic to be much more effective. They will even work well in night sky. Yellow will mean I found their lair. Orange will mean demon is here and I am about to fight it. Green will mean everything is fine and the threat has passed. And finally red flare. This one is the one you need to pay most attention to. It means demon is not here. And I need to hunt it or search for it. All of you have to prepare the moment you see it. Make sure everyone is safe in the castle and the defenses are ready. Make sure you pick trustworthy people on the lookout. Intelli. It will be done. GM. What else? Izuku. Did you check the criminals? Captain. No, why? Izuku. I will use some of them for bait. Since it likes isolated prey, it will hunt them down one by one. That should at least delay the worst case scenario. Find the criminals and interrogate them. Ones with the worst crimes will be used for bait. Think of it as a productive execution. I will wait until you are done. Captain. Wouldn't it be better if you use livestock? It would buy you time. Izuku. Yes. But at the same time, we are dealing with too much uncertainties. And after some time, animals won't satisfy it anymore. Not to mention livestock will be more useful as the time passes and the criminals will only get more unmanageable for you in the same duration. I got one more idea but I am not sure. I need to check something before I decide. They both nodded and Izuku left the room. While walking someone shouted his name. Turning backwards he saw Saiko and Sylvie approach him cheerfully. Next to them was Lena and there was also one woman using stretchers to walk. She looked just like Lena but then the woman's features gained his attention. She was quite young. She didn't look that much older than Saiko or Sylvie. Maybe he would ask that later. Izuku smiled seeing Saiko was in much better condition and Lena was also really cheerful. She ran up to him and hugged his leg. Lena. Thank you sir. Thank you so much. The doctor was able to help mommy. We also ate a lot today. Izuku smiled and patted her head. Izuku. It is fine kid. Don't worry about it. Then the woman on the stretchers stepped forward and got on her knees. She was shaking but she managed to do it. Tears were coming down her eyes but Izuku figured that it was due to happiness. Sir. I have no way of repaying for this kindness. So please allow me to offer something. Even my life or bod. Izuku stopped her and raised her head. Izuku. It is fine, I am not expecting to be repaid. For now, stay with your family. She nodded while crying. She tried to get up but her body was too weak. Lena tried to help her but she was too small. Izuku just approached and picked her up. Eep. She looked at Izuku with a blush. Izuku. Let's go somewhere else. Frankly I was looking for Sylvie. I need to check something about her. She was confused but nodded. Saiko then take them to her room. There they sat on a balcony. Izuku let the girls sit while he himself sat on the railings. Izuku. I didn't get your name. Mira. My name is Mira sir. You didn't have to carry me all the way here. Izuku. It is nothing. I am used to carrying. Saiko. He is. I told you remember. He carried me in his arms for a whole day yesterday. Not even bothering to rest. The only breaks he took was due to giving me food or water. She said that while pressing her hand on her cheek. Remembering the time she met him. She nearly got violated but her knight in shining armor have arrived to save her. It was both horrifying and amazing. Izuku. How did you all met? Lena. After the doctor was done, they took us to the castle with other people. Mom was still sick so she was taken to the infirmary. There we say big sister help people. Sylvie. I was helping out the other doctors and clerics. There are 3 other clerics here and after your clarification, I was allowed to cast my miracles. Then I started to help out Lena and her mother while talking about you. Saiko. I was checking on the people to see if everyone were okay. I was about to leave but then I heard them talking about you and joined in the chat. She said that while giggling. Izuku. Well that's convenient. How are you feeling? Saiko. I am feeling great. The poison is cured and I back on my feet. All thanks to you Sir Midoriya. Izuku. Don't call me that. I am not fond of honorary titles. I prefer people just call me Izuku. Alright, Izuku. Sylvie, I need to test if effective your miracles are. Sylvie. My miracles. Izuku. Yes. Izuku then pulled out his knife and pointed at his hand. Izuku. Depends on how good your miracles are, I might be able to alter my plans. Izuku then cut his own hand. Sylvie tried to heal but it wasn't effective. Izuku simply nodded, she simply looked at him shyly. Izuku. Well it is not bad for your level but not really enough for what I was thinking. She looked down a bit sad. Izuku. Well, it doesn't matter. Frankly I didn't expect a Mara priestess to be here to begin with. So, I can still stick to my original plan. For now, just focus on helping everyone else. Saiko. Izuku-sama, are you really in S rank? Izuku. I am. Everyone, especially Saiko and Sylvie looked at him and gasped. On one hand they were amazed to actually be one. Becoming one was said to be so grueling that for every hundreds of a ranked, there was only one S rank around, but they were also considered one-man armies. On the other hand they were really scared, according to the guildmaster, him being here was bad thing, especially if it is for a job. Because it meant that there was something so horrifying around here, no amount of regular soldiers or adventurers would be enough to deal with it. Lena. Is it a high rank mister? Izuku turned to the kids looking at him curiously. He simply chuckled. Izuku. It is, the trials were grueling. Hundreds of people died in the duration. Even more turned back and run. I remember the time I and my 2 other friends were given the title in front of the emperor. Lena. Cool, Izuku. Well, that was a good talk but gotta go for now. I will check on the preparations. Listen, the worst case scenario, stay inside the castle. They all nodded and Izuku walked to the balcony. Then he hopped down to the ground as the other ladies panicked and jumped up. They rushed to the balcony to see him descend to the ground and land there like nothing happened. Wow, as he was waiting there he saw the captain arrive with a cage full of tied-up people. Izuku. You gathered them. Captain. Yes sir. These are the worst criminals in the city. He then listed their names and crimes. Izuku nodded. Indeed they had no other use than being a meat shield for this job. Izuku then grabbed the cage and started to carry it. Sun was close to setting and crimson lights were emitting from the mountains. Izuku decided that it would be the best time. Demons were most active in dark, so this would have been the best time to hunt one down. Time skip. Cremina. HHMMMMMMMPH. HHMMMMMPH. Izuku tied the guy's mouth since he was too loud. This was the last person to place. After making sure that he wouldn't be able to escape he left to search for the cultist's lair. He searched for the forest. Good thing he was able to see in the dark just as well. And then his body started to change a bit, especially his face. It started to become more scaly. His teeth got sharper and larger, and his eyes changed. His retinas became swamp green and his irises became red. His irises were no longer humanoid but rather that of a predator. In this form he could do more than just seeing in the night. He could also see the magic now. He can't determine how strong something is per se, but he could see different forms of magic. This way he could intensify the demon's lair. After looking for an hour he finally found a cave that was saturated many flavors of magic. But all of them had the common evil trait. And upon closer inspection he was certain that this was it. Since he was able to see the mana residue of a demon from the cave. Smiling, he used his yellow flare to notify the city. From the distance a guard saw the flare and notified the captain. Since it was yellow now the captain was on edge. The next signal would mean everything. From a balcony Psycho also saw it. She didn't know that meant but she clutched her heart, hoping that everything will be fine. Back with Izuku, decided to waste no time and he entered the cave. And literally a minute after entering he encountered a group of people with robes. The moment they saw him one of them panicked. Izuku didn't wasted time and rushed to them. He thought of using his shouts but decided that it wouldn't be necessary. He was really fast. Before they could even do something Izuku punched one of them in the head, killing him instantly. Still in air, he flipped and spin kicked another one. Then he pulled out his knife from his belt and stabbed another one. One of them was trying to run and had some distance between him and Izuku. But Izuku threw his knife at him. The cultist got pierced right from his head and was dead. Last one tried to cast a lightning at him but Izuku was able to dodge and rushed at him. He grabbed his sword. Seeing the size of the sword the cultist smirked and shouted. Cultist. Ha, that sword is too big for tea. But he couldn't finish as Izuku pulled his sword out and swung so hard that the sword cleaved through the walls of the cave and landed on him, slicing him in half. The whole group was dead. But that lightning magic was sure loud. He was never a stealth expert. Well, there are different type of stealth as his close friend once put it. But then again, when it came to that explosion maniac, everything was a target. He was going deeper into the cave system. There were many different intersections and branches. But thanks to his current form, all he had to do was to follow the residue of demonic mana. As he was going deeper and deeper he found structures that were not a part of this cave. Rather, they were built there. Izuku. Were they here for a while? He got closer to one of them. Examining it, pillar was new. It was covered in moss but other than that, it was new. Izuku. There must be some architects working for them. Or maybe among the cult. Still, these pillars must be heavy. And the cave didn't seem too narrow for them to be carried inside. Did they carried rocks here? If so, why? Doesn't seem practical. He wasn't sure what they were made out of. But it was indeed curious. He made a mental note about this. Once the demon was defeated he would return here to examine more. But his thoughts were interrupted when he heard a sound. Turning to a passageway he saw a bunch of creatures rush at him. Two of them was flying and other 3 of them were on the ground. The ones on the ground were big and bloated. They were easily several times larger than him. Their arms and legs were replaced by massive axes and maces, while the flying creature was surrounded with fire. Izuku. A fire spirit and flesh golems. The golems charged at him. They were fast and really disturbed. Izuku also charged at them. One of them went for a strike and Izuku blocked it with his sword. After pushing that thing's axe, he jumped up and slashed at its head. He was able to cleave it, but that didn't stop the golem from keep moving. Izuku. The core isn't in the head. Fine then. Sadly, when it came to golems, unless one were to destroy its core, they could keep fighting. And depending on the golem, certain elemental abilities would be useless. Looking back, he saw the fire elemental rushing at him for an attack. Jumping backwards, he parried the attack and managed to redirect it to another flesh golem. Izuku. These things were weak to fire, therefore using fire magic or fire breath was optimal. But the fire could make the flame elemental more powerful. I need to get rid of it first. He rushed at the elemental. The monster saw it and started to back away as the other golems went to protect her. Izuku. I see, so they are wired to protect her. Looks like I need to make bolder decisions. Izuku used fire magic at the golems. The small fire ball hit them and charted their skin, but it wasn't enough. Y'all tore. He released a lot of fire from his mouth. This fire managed to burn all of the 3 golems, but the fire elemental rushed at the fire and started to absorb it. Izuku smiled since the creature took the bait. Faux Cra Dian. Sending a frost's wave, the elemental didn't have time to dodge since it was too blinded with the fire it was absorbing. The creature was completely destroyed. Izuku wasn't sure if he used too much power, but since the elemental was absorbing dragon fire, he didn't want to take risks. After passing a passage, he encountered more cultists. And they looked ready for him. The moment he appeared, they attacked him. Izuku managed to dodge, but they were relentless. His body was still quite durable, but there was no need to just let them hit him. The cultists were in a line and shooting him with all sorts of projectiles. Some were suing magic, others were using crossbows with enchanted bolts. At some point while rushing at them, he activated a barrier to block some of the incoming blasts. Izuku. They are not novices. They must be at least C or B rank. Still. There was a distance between them. At least 100 meters. From this distance he had put more weight to his shouts. Fus Ro Da. A blast of force was expelled from his mouth, blasting away their attacks. But it didn't stop. The cultists cast barriers to protect themselves, but still to no avail. The shockwave hit them pretty badly. They were all flown away. Some hit the walls, other to the ceiling. And some just crash-landed onto the ground. Izuku used this moment to rush to them. Wold Na Kest. He appeared right next to them and just killed them one by one. But he noticed that one of them was dressed differently. Not to mention he had different talismans than others. His were better quality. Izuku. He must be higher in rank. Or at least someone more important. Izuku grabbed the guy to make him talk. Izuku. You are going to explain everything you know about the procedure and demon. The man looked at him and smirked. Cultist 2. I will speak nothing. Not to a filthy demi-human like you. The man expected him to get angry, but Izuku simply smirked back. Izuku. You are talking a lot of shit for a man missing a leg. Cultist 2. What? Izuku then suddenly cut one of his leg. The man screamed and Izuku dropped him to the ground. He then pressed him with his foot. Izuku. Now, we can't have you bleed out yet. Izuku then burned his wound, technically saving his life but also inflicting more pain. Then man could only scream in agony. Fass. The man looked back at him in horror. Now in front of him wasn't Izuku but a massive beast. Izuku. Have you changed your mind yet? Tell me everything I need to know. The man was in complete fear now. Cultist 2. We lacked one of the ideal sacrifices, but the ritual is still possible. Izuku. Who was the one you lacked? Cultist 2. It is a noble called Psycho Int. But before he could say more, suddenly the man started to choke on his own words. He was suffocating. Before Izuku could do something, he stopped struggling and died. Now frowning, Izuku decided to examine his body. Then he opened his mouth and saw a magical seal on his tongue. Izuku. At least they were the ones after Psycho. With her ability, the Wrathful Devourer would become a real problem. As he continued, suddenly he appeared inside a large door. It was heavily saturated with magic and it was where his trial ended. At least for now. He tried to touch the door only for a barrier to activate. Izuku. This is a powerful barrier. I need to break through this. Gripping his sword with both hands, he charged his sword up with a lot of lightning, and after a powerful slash that shook the whole cave and beyond, he was able to break through the barrier. This room was perfectly circular, and there was only one entrance. Or that's how it seemed. Looking around he noticed that it was a massive circular area with lots of seats, or most like a theater, and he was in the middle rows. As he walked forward he saw at least 8 massive pillars going from top to bottom supporting this room. Izuku. These pillars. They are too big for just decoration. That old geezer told me that such structures exist to transfer the weight of something above to the ground. That means the ceiling must be heavy. Am I too deep in the underground? Is there a mountain or a hill above me? Or a lake perhaps? As he kept walking to the center, he saw a massive magic circle lit with candles from 5 corners. The circle was made out of blood and there was a lot of skeletons around it. Izuku. So this is the ritual room. Welcome, Hunter. He looked up. The voice came from to the opposite side of the theater. There was a special section covered with curtains. Looking at it he saw a man covering himself with a cloak. The said man then suddenly vanished and appeared in the middle of the circle. Izuku was able to see the curtain of mana around him. It was evil and he saw some demonic magic residue. Izuku. To be able to vanish like that, you are the cult leader. Leader. You're got good eyes, Hunter. As expected of your kin. Izuku. Oh, and what makes you say that? Leader. I heard stories about you, kind demi-human. No, calling you a mere demi-human would be inaccurate. You true dragons are something else. Much stronger than your downgraded cousins or their pathetic subclasses. And you yourself are quite powerful even though you are essentially a toddler considering the lifespan you must have. Izuku then smirked. Izuku. If you know what I am, then you got quite big balls for showing up like that. Then you know what happens next, right? Izuku then appeared right next to him and grabbed him by the neck. But then he felt something off. His flesh felt artificial. Izuku. Oh, what's this? Izuku then broke his neck. But instead of killing the man he just kept smirking. Suddenly a flash of light emitted from the man and it revealed a golem. Izuku. Quite the quality. And almost deceived me. But after a closer look I can still see the disguise. Izuku simply destroyed it without a second thought. A voice was then echoed around him. Leader. Well done. Indeed an S ranker not be able to notice it. But it doesn't matter. You are right where we want you to be. Suddenly Izuku was surrounded by at least 100 cultists. And ground beneath him opened to reveal dozens of golems and elementals. Looking around he saw some cultists grouped together and summon a much bigger monster. There were 4 groups of people all doing the same. Summoning creatures looking just like each other. Izuku. Mid-class demons. Dozens of flesh golems for a frontal assault and elementals to prevent me from using any elemental spell, all the while the rest of you supporting from long range. I will at least admit that this is a sound plan. Smirk. But. Mull. Suddenly Izuku was covered with green energy. His arms and some of his torso was covered with this energy. This energy then solidified to form a rigid armor. Su. His sword glowed a white aura. And it was covered with lightning as well. You fuckers gotta do a lot more than that. Izuku simply stood there with a massive energized sword in his hand and an armor around him. The demons and the golems rushed at him. Demons were much faster compared to the golems. But Izuku was still faster. Izuku rushed forward, slicing a few golems in half. He didn't have to hold back much right now. But he still did his best to spare most of his energy on the demon he was looking for. The best case scenario, they still couldn't summon the demon, he wouldn't have to fight it. But life was never that convenient for him. So he did his best to spare. But the enemy was relentless. As he was parrying the golem and kicked one of them, a demon attacked him from the behind. He span around and slashed its chest. He then flipped on his swing with the momentum he generated, grabbed his dagger, and this time he went for a stab. He was able to stab its stomach, but before he could deal more damage he had to dodge incoming attacks. He jumped back while looking at some of the incoming projectiles from the mages. He casted a lightning blast to a few of them. Some were able to block it with shields, but not all of them. He was about to continue blasting, but he saw some elementals rush to him. He didn't wanted to feed them, so he stopped. At the same time he turned to see a large blast was coming to his direction. From the trajectory he noticed that it was the leader. He jumped away to dodge it, but then he was jumped by another demon. Rolled away and jumped up to kick a flesh golem that was charring to him. The kick was powerful enough to send it flying to a wall and cracked it. The ones on top of the wall were distracted due to this. Izuku didn't waste time and blasted them with fire. He saw the demon charge at once again. Fus ro da. He blasted the demon away. It hit multiple elementals and crushed them at the same time he blocked more projectiles with his barrier and rushed at the remaining demons. They were powerful, not enough for Izuku, however the cult leader was really skilled at magic. Izuku could take them all on, but he needed to save energy for the potential high-class demon. He attacked the last two demons. His sword was coated with powerful lightning. She swung his sword and defeated them with a powerful slash. In fact, he made sure that the slash was powerful enough to continue and kill the ones behind the demons as well. Leader. We got the moment everyone attack at once. He saw that from all angles mages were blasting him and the monsters were charging at him. At the same time the cult leader was preparing a rather powerful magical blast. This was risky and he needed to make sure they were all defeated. Tidklooe. Suddenly everyone slowed in moving. All the projectiles were in slow motion. This ability always costed quite the stamina, but he needed to finish this quickly. He moved in insane speed, which was even worse for those who were affected by the time magic. He rushed to the monsters, killing them. Then he quickly jumped up and cut both limbs of the leader first. Then he started to run at circles, killing all the mages one by one. By the time everything returned to normal, the leader was the only one left alive. He screamed in pain as his arms were gone. Izuku then grabbed the man by his throat and slammed him to the ground. Hard enough to break even more bones, but not enough to kill him. Izuku. The demon. Have you summoned it? The man smirked while coughing blood. Leader. Why, you are too late, hunter. It must finished its meal by now and rushing to the castle. Ha ha. Cough. Ha, too bad we couldn't capture the girl. But everything turned according to the plan. The cultist was looking at the ceiling now. Izuku looked up too. Then he saw it. There was a tiny hole on the ceiling. Too small for a human to pass, but not for a slime. Even for a creature like that. Leader. He, master will be pleased. And as he said it, he started to choke on his own words. Eventually dying. Izuku let him go and jumped upwards and destroyed the ceiling above him. Then he found himself in an empty room. Or more like an empty section of the cave. And he was able to see the residues of iron ores all around him. Izuku. Shit. He quickly rushed outside and launched the red flare. With that he rushed back to the city. The city. In the darkness the guards were on edge. Especially the ones responsible for observing. One guard was looking around, all nervous. He wasn't sure what was going on. But given how the Baron and the captain reacted when that man arrived, he knew not to disobey. Then he saw a bright light. Looking up he noticed that it was red. Understanding what that meant he panicked and sounded the alarms. The guards were preparing themselves. The adventurers, regardless of their ranks, were all with the guards waiting anxiously. Slivy was also among them. She was as the backlines, but even then this was nerve-wracking. A guard on the wall then heard a noise. No, it was more like a quake. After hearing this several times he saw the ground shake from a large distance and a massive chunk of the land crumbled and sunken. The guard saw this and was in absolute horror. And made it even worse was the fact that something was coming to their direction. He instantly sounded the horns and alerting everyone that the monster was coming. The ground shook and a massive black and metallic silver creature appeared. It looked like a slime. But it was massive. So big that the guard didn't need a spyglass anymore to see it. Guard. Sir, it is closing in. Captain. Catapults. Soldiers prepared the catapults. The rocks were coated with flammable liquids. A few mages also helped with so the flames on the rocks wouldn't just extinguish quickly. Once the monster was in the range they fired with everything they got. Due to its size it was nearly impossible to miss. Burning rocks were launched to the monsters. The slime managed to hit some but most landed on him. The creature roared in anger and pain. And then they saw it. The monster was still trying to absorb the rocks. They kept firing more rocks through the catapults. Volley after volley of rocks hit the monster, causing his body to expand and become heavier. But the iron it had absorbed before was fully assimilated. Therefore, while rocks were slowing it down, the monster was not in a real danger. They sent another volley of rocks, eventually running out of ammo. Guard. Sir, it is bad, we are out of rocks. The catapults are useless now. The monster was closing and was in the range of smaller projectiles and magical bolts. Captain. Archers. Magicians. Fire at will. Everyone else fire everything you got. Everyone who could use a slingshot or even capable of throwing a stone far away did their best to fire at the monster. They were doing their best. Captain. Search for the core. Captain said, remembering the letter Izuku left on how to defeat it. This monster had a core that they had to kill like a slime. But it was too big and was also way too durable than a regular slime core. And since they lacked fire power, their only bet was to stretch its body thin, locate the core and destroy it. Sadly, it was easier said than done. They were no S rank like Izuku, but this was still the better option. Eventually the monster started to get too close. Izuku especially told them to avoid direct confrontation. Captain. Retreat. Everyone retreated. As they did, the monster reached the wall. It was decently tall and the rocks were weighing it down. So the soldiers and the adventurers had enough time to retreat and formulate a plan. Luckily they also decided to trap several criminals to various sections of the city in the hopes of spreading the beast and buying time. Just like how Izuku decided to use criminals to slow the beast down. This would make it stronger, but considering the current situation they really weren't sure if this thing could get even more powerful. Once they managed to retreat to the castle, the clouds started to gather, obstructing whatever little light the moon was giving off now. It was already as dark without torches and now the moon was gone. Things started to get worse for the people. Captain. Shit, all mages. The captain approached to the mages and any adventurers who could use magic. Captain. Can you illuminate the area? The beast already as dark as the abyss itself and can't fight it with no light. Some of them nodded. Then they got together and prepared a magic. Mage light. A dozen magicians casted a low-level light spell that would illuminate the city well enough that they could spot the monster. Then they all heard a roar and the castle wall was overtaken. They all saw a massive monster ooze down to the city from the top of the wall. Once they got a clear view, they were all horrified in front of the beast. Guard. How the hell are we supposed to fight that? Adventurer. We can't win. Captain. All sortiers, we don't have to win. We just have to buy enough time for the S rank to return. Prepare for the second stage. Inside the castle people were watching this from the windows or balconies. There were also others witnessing this through minor transmission spells. And they in absolute horror, seeing the massive creature just appear. All the rooms were filled with people. Mira and Lena were with Psycho. They were worried about Slivy since she was down there. They were also horrified that this monster had appeared, but they had some hope for Izuku to show up soon. Once the monster was inside the castle, it started to spread thin due to sensing prey. In a desire to consume them all, it let itself somewhat vulnerable. Using the prep time, some archers managed to lit the houses on fire, slowing the monster down, while some mages that managed to rest continued their volley. But it wasn't too effective. Hopefully someone could find the core and they could maybe take it down. As the monster spread even thinner, Slivy was looking at this. She was afraid. But as she was looking though, she saw something odd. Almost like she was able to see a dark red orb. It was emitting an aura that was especially repulsive to her. She even threw up looking at it. Guard. Get back up, girl. Do you wanna die on the ground? She nodded and tried to forget about it, but she couldn't. Then she remembered some conversations she was having with some guild clerks about the nature of monsters. How slimes had a certain core. Then it clicked. It was a crazy idea, but she could try. This was the least she could do for now. She rushed to the captain. Slivy. Captain. He turned annoyed. Captain. What? I don't have time right now. Slivy. I think where the core is. Captain. What? Slivy. I might sound crazy, but I saw something. Just looking at it felt repulsive. It felt just wrong. But it was real. And I felt the aura it was emitting. That thing is a demon, right? Then it might its core. Captain didn't wanna believe this, but he was desperate enough to try. Earlier he had to send several troops to engage the creature in melee combat. Even some adventurers left to aid them. It was a suicide move for sure, but they wouldn't be able to hold out longer. Captain. You. Go and gather all the mages. They will have to do a one big blast. You better be right, girl. Once all the mages were gathered, the captain ordered his man to rush. But not to attack it, but rather make it stretch even further. Captain. You need to lead them. They will shoot blind otherwise. Slivy. Yes, sir. Captain. We got one shot at this. Make it count. The soldiers were doing their best to stretch the monster, making its core as visible to Slivy as possible. Once getting clear view, Slivy directed the mages about its location. All the mages were together. They all got together and prepared for a lightning magic. One of them knew how to cast it. But even though they knew how, the magic itself was a higher level and they lacked the power to just do it themselves. They poured everything they had. The clouds started to rumble. The sky was illuminated with lightning. And a bolt of thunder struck down to the ground right on the monster itself, aiming for its core. And it nearly worked. The monster was paralyzed due to the close proximity, and it stopped for the moment. Adventurer. Did it work? The creature was motionless. A few soldiers got closer to check on it. But when they did, they were attacked by tendrils. At the same time, many tendrils lashed out and grabbed a lot of people, consuming them. Everyone started to turn away as the monster got back up. It was up, but it wasn't just charging anymore. Instead, it just stood there. Then it started to morph. The tendrils were no longer stretching to consume things. Instead, it started to roar in rage. The sound was deafening. The shockwave it caused pushed many people away. It stood there with black and silver color, the silver color becoming more visible, and then with a swift move, it cut a massive chunk of the castle wall, causing many people to fall and die. Then it span around and caused untold destruction. Everything was chaos now. Many soldiers and adventurers were panicking, wanting to run away. They did everything they could. But that wasn't enough. Compared to the monster in front of them, they were nothing but insects. The people were also witnessing this. As they saw the monster got back up again, despair started to engulf them. To many the situation was hopeless. Slivy was rushing to the crushed side of the wall to find any injured. Once she did, she noticed that everyone were dead. She fell to her knees in shock. This was indeed a nightmare. What's even worse, the monster stopped. Then he turned to Slivy. And all of a sudden it started to release a lot of evil intent. It was angry, repulsed, and was glaring at her. She was also feeling this. Suddenly she became this thing's sole target and she knew it. The creature then sent a tendril and caught her. This solo focus managed to buy time for others to run away. She was alone with this creature now. In the castle, some people were worried for her. Especially the ones she helped out often. They prayed for her safety, but deep down they knew this was it for her. Lena was crying. Mira tried to comfort her, but she was equally scared for her. Psycho was gasping in fear. Slivy was sweating and crying. She prayed to her goddess. Slivy. Oh holy mother, may your loving tea touch. She couldn't speak more as the monster tightened its grip, crushing her. She screamed in pain. The creature was mooring now and becoming more demonic. Its core was extremely close to her and it started to change as well. It was opening up, and magical tendrils were lashing out from it. Almost like it was going to devour both her body and her soul. She was in despair as she closed her eyes. Slivy. Somebody, save me. Fas Ru Mar. Suddenly the monster stopped, confusing a lot of people. Then it turned its head to the forest. It was able to feel the presence of a powerful being. Almost like a predator. Slivy also slowly opened her eyes. She was still afraid, however. Then she also felt it. So did everyone in the city. The presence of a powerful being, a beast perhaps on par with this monster, was approaching to the city. To many they didn't know what this feeling was, or whether would this be their salvation or demise. To a few, especially to Slivy who felt this presence before. Suddenly the tendril that was holding her was cut off, casing monster the growl and Slivy to fall to the ground. She closed her eyes, bracing herself for her death. But instead of the hard ground beneath her, she felt a softer surface touch her body. And most importantly, she felt a pair of arms wrap around her. Moments ago Izuku was running with full speed. And as he got closer he saw the city in ruins. Hoping to an even worse disaster, he knew he needed to gain the demon's attention. His dragon aura was the perfect job for this. So he used it. As he was closing distance he glared at the monster holding Slivy. Cursing under his breath, he knew he needed to save her. The demons especially hate clerics due to their affinity with the divine. And it was only expected for a wrath demon to especially despise a love priestess. Fus Ro Da. Izuku combined unrelenting force with his lightning slash, resulting a blast that could travel far distances. The slash attack hit the tendril that was holding Slivy was jet off. She started to fall to the ground. Thanks to his speed, by the time it hit the tendril Izuku was able to reach to the city. Then he saw Sly. Wold na kest. Izuku dashed forward as Slivy was falling. He managed to catch her bridal style and jump away. As he jumped he held her with one arm, flipped around, held his sword once again and sent a lightning slash at the monster once again. And this time it was bigger and far more powerful. The creature was pushed back in pain. Izuku landed on the ground with her in his arms. Izuku. Facing a high-class demon by yourself. That's rather brave. Then again I found you trying to defend a little girl in the slums. Slivy looked up to see him chuckle at her. Izuku. Are you alright? She was gasping as she saw her guardian angel came back once again. She shed tears of joy. In the castle, Psycho screamed in joy. Psycho. Yes, he is back. Both Mira and Lena looked relieved as Izuku returned from the lair. Izuku. Sorry for the delay, the cultists were more cunning than expected, but looks like only the demon is left. Slivy. Mr. Izuku, see careful, the monster is. But she couldn't say more. She gasped as she took a good look at Izuku's eyes. His eyes wasn't the eyes of a human but something else. He also got a vicious grin on his face. Izuku. I will be fine. Let me show how real pros do their work. Izuku stood in front of the monster with Slivy still on his arms. There was quite the distance between them, but due to the size of the monster that wasn't exactly visible. Slivy, although filled with hope now, she was still afraid of the monster in front of them. Suddenly the monster charged at them. It launched one of the tendrils at them. Izuku jumped away while still carrying her. Then he held onto her with one arm and grabbed his other with his right hand. Izuku then parried a thrusting attack. Then he jumped above another slash. He saw another tendril launching towards him, but he was able to kick it while coating his leg with ice and responded with his own kick. He was able to kick the attack away. For now he needed to make sure to get Slivy out of there. Once landing back, he rushed to the direction of the castle. As he was rushing there, he saw a metallic tendril was lashing out to him with full speed. And this tendril was big. Jumping was one thing, but in air he would put her in danger. And at the same time he was able to see the countless sharp spikes on the tendril, making a direct confrontation a real danger. The monster looked like it finally became intelligent enough to be a problem. However, there was a slight gap between the tendril and the ground which was getting more narrow as the second. Izuku. Ball yourself up now. She didn't dare to question it and did as she was told. Izuku then prepared while running. He made sure he was in front of her and used his body as a shield. He could recover from this just fine, but she wouldn't. Wold na kest. They managed to pass by the incoming tendril and slid on the ground due to the sheer speed they had. Using his barrier and the barrier rune on his sword at the same time, he made sure to wrap her with the barriers well as they were being dragged through the ground. He remembered the feeling of being dragged through the ground. Even though his skin was tough, he still remembered the feeling of his skin being chipped away by the rough ground. He surely didn't wish it upon an ally, especially upon a seemingly delicate girl like the one she was carrying. Once rolling over and getting back up, Izuku looked down to see if she was doing okay. She was bawling herself while covering her eyes and ears. Izuku. Slivy. Her heart was beating really fast. She was breathing intensely. She wasn't used to combat, and she certainly wasn't used to a fight this intense. Considering she was a priestess of Mara, this was expected. Izuku instantly stabbed his sword to the ground and kept the barrier active. Slivy was inside the barrier protected. She slowly looked up while crying. Izuku. Stay in the barrier. And cover your eyes. This will be bright. Izuku then turned to the demon and took a deep breath, pouring a decent chunk of his mana to this attack. Yal Tor Shul. Suddenly a massive blast of fire was released from Izuku's mouth. It was so big that it could easily cover the creature's body. The demon screamed in pain as the fire was wrapping around its body. Everyone looked at this in completely shock. Those on the walls looked in awe as the massive fire blast completely wrapped around the monster, burning him up. Psycho looked from the window as the tower of fire was illuminating the city. Civilian. Who is this person? Soldier. He is so powerful. GM. He is Izuku Midoriya. S-rank adventurer. Slivy was in awe as she was crying to cover her eyes. As if a powerful dragon just appeared. Then she felt dread. As she was able to feel the rage-filled screams of the monster. Izuku then picked up the sword. Izuku. This should buy us time. Slivy. Tea time. Izuku. Time for me to get you out of here. He was wrapping it with cloth. Once it had enough layers, he also activated a dullness rune on the hilt. One he used for practice. Once making sure it was no longer sharp, he put it down and reached for Slivy. Izuku. Hold on to it tightly. Don't worry, it is no longer sharp and you will be fine. She did as she was told, but she was confused. Then Izuku activated the barrier rune and grabbed her. Slivy. What are you? Izuku jumped high. Really high. It was easily 100 meters in the air. She was screaming in fear. They were in the air. Izuku looked at the castle and saw Psycho on a balcony. Then he smirked. Vengar knows. A cyclone surrounded her and Izuku sent her to the direction of the castle walls. She was now flying towards the castle in a steady pace. But that didn't make it any less scarier. And if that wasn't enough, the fire died down and the monster was visibly angry. It tried to lash out to Slivy, but Izuku didn't let it happen. Fus ro da. A powerful shockwave pushed the tendrils away, saving her and the castle. It also pushed the monsters away. From where it stood, it was no longer a massive threat to the castle and the people in it anymore. Izuku landed on the ground and looked the monster with a smirk. Mul Qah dive. His body was wrapped with a powerful magical armor. Shining red, orange and blue. And from the helmet, Izuku was looking at it. Izuku. Now that everyone is out of danger, we can let loose, don't you agree, fucker? In a steady pace, Slivy was reaching to the balcony. Psycho noticed this and asked people to clear the way. Slivy managed to land on the room and rolled over several times, with the sword itself also falling onto the ground. But she was now safe. She tried to get back up, but it was difficult for her. She was not only exhausted, but also shaking in fear, shock and some pain. Lena. Big sister. Are you okay? Lena rushed to her help. Slivy. I am okay. She was still shaking. Mira. Please don't force yourself. Sit down and take a deep breath. She was on her knees, taking deep breaths. Old woman. Are you okay, sweetie? She turned to see an elderly woman. One that she helped out a few times before. Sylvie. I think so. Lena then hugged her and she hugged back. Lena. That was so scary. But Mr. came and saved you. Slivy. Why yeah. Crying, he did. But they couldn't speak anymore as they all felt a tremor. Slivy, Psycho, Mira and Lena all rushed to the balcony. Then they saw Izuku was battling with the monster. Izuku was charging at the creature. Even though he didn't have his sword anymore, it didn't matter to him. He had more than enough tricks in his sleeve to deal with this thing. Izuku rushed at it while blasting it with lightning. Since it absorbed a lot of metal, lightning should be extra effective. And even if his basic lightning strikes wouldn't be as effective, it wouldn't matter. Since the lightning was just a distraction. Izuku was glaring at the monster. Thanks to his senses, he was able to locate the core just fine. Izuku rolled over, dodging a projectile and smashed the ground, ripping a massive rock and throwing it to the monster, more specifically to its core. Izuku then used a boulder on the ground. He smirked. Wold na kest. With a sudden burst of speed, he used the rubble as a stepping stone. Combined with his speed, he was able to jump on the rock he just threw. Still having some momentum, he pushed the rock with his full power. Now accelerated even further, the rock flew to the core with great speed. The slime tried to protect the core, putting a large mass between the core and the rock. But this was only a part of Izuku's plan. On the ground he was still rushing at the monster. He made sure it wouldn't dodge. As the rock hit the monster, it was more than enough distraction. Lis Slen Nus. Massive wave of ice was unleashed, freezing the monster, and keeping it grounded. At the same time the rock hit the frozen body solid, almost piercing the core. However, core was able to move away just on time. Under the icy layer, the core was still alive as it managed to, but it didn't matter. Izuku jumped on the monster, using its body as stepping stones. He was able to jump to the sky. The girls were all watching this in awe. They weren't seeing this clearly, as even with the transmission spell Izuku was too fast for naked eye. But right now that didn't matter, as everyone saw a light streak towards the monster and then towards the sky. Reaching to the clouds. He used the already existing clouds as a base. Strun Ba Qo. The whole sky was covered with streaks of lightning dancing on the clouds. There were so many crackling streaks of lightning that it was no longer total darkness. Then bolts of thunder rained down onto the ground, The rain of thunder was covering a majority of the city while illuminating it. This shocked especially the mages. Each single bolt of thunder was far bigger and powerful than what they were able to conjure with their combined might. Adventurer. How is he doing this? Mage. I is the might of an S rank. Soldier. Such power. Adventurer. We are like insect to him. Suddenly the demon was under a powerful onslaught of thunder. It was trying to run away but it was still stuck. And due to the power of each bolt, all it could do for now is to make sure the core was safe. It was screaming in agony. Izuku then grabbed his dagger and charged it up with electricity. And then threw it to the monster's core. As it descending to the ground, it was picking up more and more bolts of thunder, resulting a massive bolt hitting the creature. Everyone had to look away due to the sudden flash of light as then they heard the deafening sound of the powerful lightning bolt. The combined bolts of lightning was breaking its body down. The core instinctively tried to isolate itself to survive. But Izuku wasn't just going to let that happen. He also descended down with his fist covered with lightning and shoved its hand to the slime. At this point it was really thin now and with his lightning-covered fist he was able to destroy the whole body. The whole ground was shaking and everyone had to brace themselves. Once it all stopped they all looked outside. Lok va kur. Izuku cleared the sky letting the moon light and the stars give more light. He slowly walked up to where the core was. With what little ooze it had left it was trying to crawl away. But Izuku destroyed it too and grabbed it. Everyone were witnessing Izuku slowly walk up to the demonic core and grab it. It was screaming in pain, terror and rage. Then it opened its mouth with magical tendril coming out. Izuku didn't even budge and crushed the core with a quick squeeze. With that the remaining demonic goo disappeared. Izuku powered down and looked around. He found his dagger and put it back to his sheath. Looking up he saw the sun was about to rise. Izuku smiled and lit up the green flare, signaling everyone that it was safe now. With that he went back to the castle. Later, it was all over as people were relieved. But now they had to handle the injured. They were a lot of injured people. From the civilians to the combatants. There were also sick people among them. But at least they no longer had to be cramped inside the castle. Those who were not injured left first to make space. Then people were categorized by their condition. The apothecaries, clerics or anyone who could help were doing their absolute best. But there were too many people. Izuku. Stand aside. Some people turned to see Izuku stand there. The clerics, including Slivy and the apothecaries were surprised to see him. Izuku. All of you. Focus on the ones with the worst injuries. Slivy. What? But they are. Izuku then approached to a soldier. Using healing miracle he managed to heal the man. Shocking all of them. Izuku. I can cast basic miracles. While they may not be on par with some of you, I still have more than enough mana and stamina to deal with all of the minor injuries, so focus on the rest. They all nodded. Time skip. After hours of effort all the injured people were healed. Depending on the situation he also used recovery rather than heal, which was more effective. Luckily everything was fine now. The city was in ruins but for now Izuku had other things to do. He first find the captain, the baron and the guild master. Sir. Izuku. You carry on the work here. I will be back shortly. Baron. Where are you going? Izuku. Back to the cult's hideout. I need to gather evidence. They nodded. Izuku left. After some time, he reached to the lair and was examining every single corner in the room. He first started with the cult leader. How he died earlier was really bugging him. Finding his corpse, he opened its mouth only to see the same magical seal from before, one that a subordinate had. Izuku. So he wasn't the leader. This was odd to Izuku. This man had the skills of an A- rank. And with what they had, if he were to attack to the castle with the demon, things would be dire. That said, the ambush was also alarming to him. Izuku. He surely must have a way to gather intel, either through a mole or some other means, so they can track my movements. I didn't notice a familiar around so it could be a mole at his city, but he also knew what I was. And that's something someone in the city cannot know about. His mind was rushing. His true race was a classified information only a few knew even among the high-ranking officials. Either there was a deep root of corruption, or they knew about him some other ways. He didn't know which was worse. Izuku. Emperor Nezu is extremely ruthless when it comes to his subjects. He would know about corruption. So they must know some other ways. This man was also a subordinate given he also had a magical seal on his tongue. Then he had someone above him who could know about my kind. His master then. Izuku kept walking around. In a section of a cave he found many rooms for different cultists. They barely had anything important. Just some trinkets, mana gems, and magical staffs. Nothing new. He also found an alchemical station. Walking up to it, he was able to smell the toxin. Izuku. Paralysis toxin. It adds to the case that they hired the bandits to capture Psycho. As he was keep looking around finally found a bigger room. It smelled like the cult leader. Izuku. This must be his room. Going through his stuff. He found a wrinkled paper on a corner behind a desk. Picking it up, he noticed that it was an unfinished letter with an ink failure at the end of the words. Izuku. A failed letter. Let's see what we got. The letter was half finished and some letters were crossed. But Izuku could identify he world's master. As he kept looking for more words, he found a few other distracted papers similar. One of them had the word spy and the name of the city Intel he lived in. And the last letter had the most alarming words. Izuku. An experiment. Were they only experimenting? Once gathering every evidence he burned the remaining corpses, cleaning the demonic taint. He left the cave annoyed. He was still on deep though. Izuku. They were experimenting on demons. Thinking about this remained him about the time back when David Shield talked about HRE nature of magic, science and experiments. Izuku. The nature of experiment is to expect almost certain failure, learn from it and try again. It is natural to witness hundreds, if not thousands of failure. You cannot call it an experiment if you succeed quickly. If they were expecting certain failure in such parameters, either they are absolute fools who have no idea what to do with what they have, or they are a group too powerful to be bothered even with a failure of such magnitude. Former is sadly too convenient for this world. With the evidence he would make a final report. But that would have to come later. For now he decided to return to the city. There was still much to do. Izuku returned to the city. Or what's left of it. The sun was high, lunchtime. He looked around to see people were salvaging the rubble for anything they can. Some were gathering salvaged building material, others were gathering whatever valuable that was left under the rubble. There were even children trying to help their families or looking for their own things. Shit, somebody call help. Izuku heard a cry of help. Arriving to the location, he saw a kid under a rather large pile of rubble. With a few others around him. There was also a woman and a few men. The men were trying to lift the rubble but they were failing. Woman. Why did you crawl in there? Kid. I saw it down there. Woman. It was just a toy boy. You could have let it go. The kid was crying. The men were struggling to lift it. Man. Damn it, it won't budge. Izuku. Stand aside. They turned to see Izuku approaching. They were all shocked to see him here. Izuku then walked up to the rubble. With one hand he casually lifted the whole rubble as if he was lifting a bed sheet. Looking down, the boy had a toy on his hand. Chuckling to himself, he grabbed the boy and lifted him up just like that. Everyone around him looked in awe as how little he was struggling where all the men among the group were completely powerless. Once putting the rubble down a woman approached to the boy and started to shook him intensely. She hugged him. Izuku turned to the man and simply nodded. Afterwards he left looking to see what else he could do around here. For the next few hours he did his best to help out any way he can, whether it is to repair the broken gate, or to find a trinket buried deep under the rubble. Once that's done, he returned to the castle. There he first found the guild master. GM. Sir. Izuku. I am done with the gatherings. What is the current situation right now? GM. The city is in ruins but it can be rebuilt. That said, gathering the resources will take time. Izuku. What are the casualties? GM. Half of the adventurers died and a lot of guards as well. Izuku. Any civilian casualty? GM. Ignoring the criminals, there isn't any. Izuku. Good. We will hold a funeral for the fallen, and the surviving adventurers and the guards will be rewarded. GM. Of course, sir. Izuku. Where is the Baron? I need to talk to him privately. GM. He must be in the castle giving orders to the guards. Izuku. Good. Take me to him. The guild master nodded. After this conversation the guild master took Izuku to where the Baron is. He found the Baron talking to the captain and ordering around a few guards. Izuku. Intelli. They all turned to Izuku and were surprised. Some guards instantly saluted him. Izuku. We need to talk. Alone. Intelli. Now. Izuku. Yes. Izuku then grabbed the man and dragged him outside. Guard. Hey sir. Izuku. It is better if we pick a room that I pick. That way, no one will spy on us. They were sweating. The captain wanted to stop him but Izuku's glare was way too much for him. Intelli also decided to go along since he preferred not to anger him especially after witnessing what he just did last night. Intelli. I will be fine. All of you please carry on. With that Izuku left the room with Intelli. Going outside Izuku approached to the tower, encountering several guards. Izuku. Leave us. And whoever is inside to the tower will also leave. No one will go in. If you do, you will die. The guards were scared hearing his warning and considering what he did before, they completely believe him. With that they entered the tower, even evacuating the guards that were posted to watch out. Once they were all alone, Izuku casted a fire breath. Y'all. The fire traveled down to the bottom. Intelli. What is the meaning of this? Izuku. Just making sure no one decided to sneak in and tried to eardrop our conversation. I got the evidence. The cult really was the one behind the kidnapping attempt. Intelli. Really? Well, good thing you destroyed them. Izuku. That's the problem. I don't think this is the end. Intelli. What do you mean? Izuku. Some of the men that I tried to interrogate had magical seals on their tongues. It would activate the moment they would reveal information. The man that introduced himself as the cult leader also had one such seal, indicating that he wasn't the real leader. I also found letters suggesting that this was just a branch of a much larger cult. Intelli. But their presence from the land is removed, so they shouldn't be a problem for the future, right? Izuku. That's an optimistic way of thinking. And partially you are right. However, there is more. From the evidence I managed to gather, this demon summoning was treated as an experiment, one that can be repeated in the future. Intelli. That means, Izuku. Yes. The cult might come after your daughter again. I remember telling this to you yesterday, but either they have a mole or they have other means of collecting information. Frankly, after my encounter with the cult, I could even argue it could be both. So the moment I leave, she will be in danger once again. And next time, she could be sacrificed to a demon, and I could be too far away for aid, or anyone from my rank. So my suggestion is to take her away from the city. That way, we can avoid an attack. Intelli was silent, trying to understand the situation. Intelli. I get that this would keep my daughter safe. But why do you think that this would also stop them from attacking the city? Izuku. The way I see it, this whole invasion was an experiment of sorts. Their plan was to feed Psycho to the demon, boosting its intelligence, and see what would happen. And the city here would be a good prey for them to observe. It is because of her sorcery that they were here. Without her presence, I believe this cult will no longer be interested in the city. Intelli. Assuming this works, where are you even suggesting to take her? You are an adventurer, and given your rank, I highly doubt that you will be in one place for a long time. Izuku. True. Depending on my missions, I go around a lot. However, I know places for her to live in. She can live in my castle. I am also great friends with the Todoroki household, so if it comes to that, I can take her to live with the great king. Hearing this, the Baron relaxed. The Todoroki household was the most powerful noble household. Their current head, the SSS rank adventurer, Great King Enji Todoroki, was a force to be reckoned with and was one of the most trusted subordinates of the emperor. Intelli. I see. Yes, she will be safe with the Todoroki. Who, did you just say your castle? Izuku. My order sister is an SS rank adventurer. After she was given the title, she was also given a land to rule over. However, she is a lone wolf and didn't want it to rule, so she dumped the responsibility to me. Intelli. Oh. Well, I guess that helps. Then all I can ask is to take care of her. Izuku. I will do what I can. The Baron bowed slightly and they left. Funeral. On front of an open land, a lot of people were standing in front of a lot of graves. The graves of the fallen adventurers and the soldiers. People were giving their farewells to their loved ones. There were all sorts of reactions, but it was mostly tears and crying. The priests and the clerics did the final prayers as the bodies were lowered to the ground. People with or put flowers to the ground or any other trinket to honor the fallen. Priest. The Akatosh will embrace them. They are in a better place now. And as he was speaking, Izuku arrived as well. He was carrying a big bag full of flowers. People watched as he placed flowers on each gravestone one by one. Once he was done, he gave salute. Izuku. I am not exactly a man of religion. These people gave their lives trying to fight something far greater than they were. I must at least honor their bravery, and I will do it my way. Captain. The captain approached to him. Izuku. I want the list of all the fallen soldiers, their names and their families. I will give compensation for their loss. The same will be done for the adventurers. I will talk to the guild master about this. The captain was surprised but nodded. Once the funeral was done, Izuku went to the barracks and found the captain. After given a list, he examined everything. The number of soldiers that died, and the number of their families. After some time he was able to make a budget for the compensation, and the amount even surprised the captain. Captain. Are you sure about this amount, sir? It is quite a lot. Izuku. Are you suggesting that the price of good men is lower? And hearing this he panicked. Captain. And no, sir. That's not what I meant. With how much you are willing to pay, this should be set for many years. Izuku. I know. And that's the intention. Some of the families had children, and for what's taken from them, this is the least that should be done. Captain. You are a good man, sir. The captain said and saluted him. Izuku. I understand the meaning of loss. It is not something I wish upon another. That is a part of my job. As for the ones that are remaining, they also show great bravery. They earned a good celebration. I will find the guild master now. Captain. Yes, sir. Izuku left to find the guild master. Izuku. Have you gathered the list I asked you to? GM. Yes, sir. Some adventurers were from other areas, whether it was nearby villages or towns, but most were locals who lived in the city. Izuku. And their families. GM. It is all here. Izuku. Good. For all the adventurers that died, the appropriate compensation will be paid. As for the ones that survived, they will be rewarded for their efforts. Aside from the money, they will receive a promotion. They fought bravely and managed to survive. GM. Yes. But I must say, we only survived because of your instructions. Izuku. Maybe. But let's not forget that they faced a high-class demon. They could always choose to run away, and I wouldn't even blame them. While you must be capable of facing danger head-on in this job, they are still rookies. They were not supposed to even encounter the thing, yet alone fight it. That should show they at least had some balls. GM. True. Izuku. Still, let's also consider each of their contributions and evaluate including that parameter. Sounds only fair that way. GM. Yes, sir. After some more information, Izuku was surprised to hear that Sylvie was the one that found the core. Izuku. She found the core. GM. It appears so. After mages casted a lightning bolt to that area, the monster stopped for a moment, but I am not sure of the details. Izuku. I see. Impressive. I will hear her out myself. GM. Yes, sir. Is there anything we can do? Izuku. Tell me about the supplies. Do you have enough food for the winter? GM. People were stocking and the granary seems to be safe. But it was for the winter, and right now we need to use the supplies stored there. And rebuilding will require a lot of resources. Izuku. I see. The forest should supply for wood. I will stay for several more days. During that time, I will also hunt some for extra rations. I know a few monster that is safe for human consumption. With clear instructions on how to cook it, you should be fine. GM. Understood. Days passed as Izuku was going around hunting large wild animals along with low-ranking monsters. He knew a few type that tasted really good. He even showed the people on how to cook it properly. People were amazed, seeing everything he was doing the past several days. Nearly the entire city was starting to admire him. Night time. There was a celebration in the castle, with many people celebrating the victory. All the remaining adventurers were invited along with many guards and some other important people in the city. Despite everything, they still did their best to cheer up and look as best as they could. For some time people were chatting and bantering. Izuku was inside the castle walking to where Psycho's room was. There was greeted with Psycho and to his surprise Mira in a maid's outfit. Back of her hair was tied to a high ponytail while rest of her hair was flowing from the front, in front of her eyes. Their hair was divided with a cloth. Izuku. Psycho. There you are. Mira. Midoriya-sama. Psycho. Sir. They were both cheerful and looking up at him with a blush, then they bowed before him slightly. Izuku. You know, I don't care about honorary. That said, Mira, you become a maid. Mira. I was talking to the maids and helping them out. And after seeing me at work, Psycho-sama decided to hire me. Psycho. She seemed really good at what she was doing so. Izuku. I see. Are you healthy enough to do it? Mira. Yes sir, I am feeling better than ever. She said with a cheer. Izuku. Good. Where is Lena? Mira. She is sleeping in my room. She helped out a lot. Izuku. Good. That said, my sword is still in your room. Psycho. Yes, I made sure to no one would touch it. And those that tried to touch it were all zapped. Izuku. Yeah, I was made with that failsafe in case it was lost. But it has a delayed activation sequence, otherwise Sylvie would be zapped too. Psycho. But what about me? Izuku. I can also disable it. Especially when the shield mode is active. It is complicated. That said, let me pick it up. Psycho. Oh right this way. They left to pick up Izuku's sword. Izuku literally grabbed it with one hand. As the girls looked at it in awe. Mira. How are you able to just hold something that big with just one arm? Izuku. I am strong. That's all there is to it. After some adjustments he put the sword on his back and left the room. Izuku. Has the party started? Psycho. Yes. Everyone is there. We were about to join shortly but we encountered you. Izuku. Good. Let's go then. As they were walking Izuku decided to talk. Izuku. So have your father informed you about the situation? Psycho. Not in detail. But I know I am going with you. Izuku. I see. While it is a safe option, are you alright with this? I will not force you if you are not. She looked at him and blushed. Psycho. And no, I am more than happy to come with you. Izuku. Well that's good. Mira, I take it that since you are her maid now, you are also coming. Mira. Yes. Me and Lena are both coming. I am going to help training her to be a maid too. Izuku chuckled hearing this. Psycho. Do you really live in a castle? Izuku. I wasn't supposed to but yes. Mira. So you are also a noble? Izuku. Somewhat. My sister was supposed to rule the land but she dumped the responsibility on me. Psycho. Your sister? Izuku. Yes. Mira. But if she was supposed to rule, wouldn't she be a noble? And that would make you one as well. Izuku. Not completely. She is SS rank. Those rank or above are given honorary title and right to rule a land. But she dumped all that on me so I had to take the title and the responsibility. Mira. I see. Being such a high-ranking adventurer must be amazing. Izuku. It has its ups and downs. They then arrived to the room. And the moment they did the music stopped. Everyone were looking at them. Or more specifically him. Izuku motioned Psycho to just sit and he himself walked up to the stairs to give a speech. After he was done with the speech, he went down to drink. Psycho also sit in front of him in hopes of chatting with her hero. Mira was serving them drinks. Sylvie. Izuku-san. He turned to see Sylvie rush to them with a smile on her face. Then she greeted them with a bow. Mira. Sylvie-san. I am glad you are in good shape. She nodded and sat down. Mira brought another glass of wine to her as well. Psycho. Why don't you also sit with us? Mira. Are you sure? Izuku. Frankly it would be easier, consider it being stand by her. Mira. Alright. She sat down as well. Izuku. Good to see you are here. I heard about what happened during the demon attack. Hearing that however her mood soured. Sylvie. Why yeah, about that. Izuku. What is it? She looked down sad and ashamed. Sylvie. I am thinking of quitting being an adventurer. This surprised Psycho and Mira. Izuku just raised an eyebrow. Mira. Why? You were doing great. Sylvie. Why yeah, but only in terms of doing chores and all. I know at some point we are supposed to do the dangerous tasks, and the first time I was in a fight She couldn't speak. She only shivered thinking about the horrifying monster she had to face so close to. The girls were feeling bad for her. Izuku simply sighed. Izuku. Sylvie. She looked up. Izuku. I will not stop you if you wish to quit. This business does need certain level of bravery to face the opponent. However, it is natural to be afraid when you are facing a combat situation like that for the first time in your life. And let's not talk about the beast you were facing. They all went pale thinking about the monster. Izuku. Were you afraid? Sylvie. Oh, of course I was. I was terrified. I couldn't even move. I don't think I have what it takes. Izuku. Sylvie, you faced a high-class demon in your first combat experience. It is only natural to be afraid of that thing. I seen higher-ranking adventurers literally commit suicide against monsters lesser than what you had to face. I am still surprised many people here actually stayed to fight it. Quote, Sylvie. But you weren't scared at all. Whereas all I could do was pray for help. Izuku. You just started a few months ago and never been in a combat situation. I am an S rank. If anything I should apologize. Sylvie. What? Why? You don't have to. Izuku. It was my job to kill that thing and none of you were even supposed to be near that thing. It is my responsibility, so it was basically me that put you in danger. She was surprised to hear this from Izuku. She blushed while trying to dismiss it. Mira. Honestly, it was really scary. Psycho. And it really hated Sylvie for a reason. It was really onto her. Sylvie. It really hated me. Izuku. It is only natural. You are a love priestess and it was a wrath demon. Your affinities opposed each other far too much. Sile. Really? Izuku. Every person who received divine blessing, like clerics or paladins, have opposing affinities to demons and therefore are hated by them. This polarity can be really repulsive to demons if not painful. Girls. Ooh. The girls looked at him amazed. Sylvie. I thought it is because we nearly hit its core. Izuku. Speaking of the core, I heard that you were able to find it. Would you like to explain how? She looked looking annoyed and shaking. She was sad and ashamed at the same time. Sylvie. I don't know. Okay. Izuku. Sylvie. Oh, I am sorry. I didn't mean to raise my voice like that. She now started to shake nervously. Sylvie. People were keep asking me that. Some even accused me of evil things or calling it a lucky shot. It is just, when I looked at the monster. I was on the wall then looked at the monster. Then I started to feel sick. I was puking to the ground and suddenly my vision changed. Somehow I was able to see the core. It felt like it was screaming at me. As he was hearing this, Izuku choked on his drink. Izuku. Wait, what? They turned to see a surprised Izuku was looking at her. Psycho. Izuku-san. Izuku. Sylvie, remember the time we were in the guild hall? That time I was quite upset about that D rank doing what he did. Sylvie. Yeah, I remember. Suddenly your aura was changed too. She paused as she was realizing something. Sylvie. And now that I think about it, I also felt like I was about to puke when you did that. Izuku's eyes widened. Then he got up. Izuku then approached to a guard. Izuku. Do you still got a prisoner? I need to test something. Guard. Yes, sir. Izuku. Good, bring one here. The guard was confused but obeyed. Once the prisoner was here, Izuku grabbed the man and jumped away from the balcony, shocking a lot of people. Once in a good away distance, he used bloodlust on the guard. Back in the castle, the people were confused. Then Sylvie suddenly started to feel sick. Her vision darkened and she saw a powerful aura. Or more like she felt it. It was overwhelming. She started to puke on the ground, worrying Mira and Psycho. Mira. Are you okay, Sylvie-san? Psycho grabbed a napkin for her to wipe her mouth. Sylvie grabbed the napkin and wiped her mouth. She was shaking while looking down. Around that time Izuku returned. Seeing that Sylvie was on the ground, everyone were confused and saw Izuku approach to them. Izuku. When did this happen? Mira. Just now, she suddenly got sick. Seeing this, Izuku grinned. Izuku. As I thought. You react to hatred. Sylvie. What? Izuku. You are not aware. Sylvie. Izuku. I see. There is a rare ability among the clerics and paladins that allow them to detect and react to their opposing affinities. And for you to react to the way you did, yours must be good. They were surprised hearing about this. Izuku. That said, I need to report this to the capital. So I will also need you to come with us. She wanted to protest but understood. And on the bright side, she get to be with her hero longer. Sylvie. Wait us. Izuku. Psycho is coming with me. Let's just say it is due to my investigation. Mira. I became Psycho-sama's maid. Lina is also going to help with me, so we are also going. Sylvie had a few doubts, but this would also make her close to her savior. Just thinking about this made her blush. The party continued as the women were chatting with each other while drinking. At some point the Baron approached to them and thanked Izuku one more time for saving them. As the party continued, both Sylvie and Psycho started to get more and more drunk. Mira. Sir, I think they were drinking a bit too much. Izuku. I noticed. I am going to take them to Psycho's room. Mira. Psycho-sama, I think it would be better if you excuse yourself from the party for tonight. Psycho was simply giggling while looking at Izuku. Sylvie was also doing the same, her blush being more visible. Izuku. Alright, you two come with me. They simply nodded while giggling. They were able to walk, but they needed Izuku's help for it. Izuku was able to simply take the two out of the room quietly. But as they were walking in the hallway, Psycho leaned towards Izuku's face. But due to the height difference she couldn't reach. Psycho. Please lean forward, Izuku-kun. Izuku. What is it? He leaned down only for Psycho to kiss him from his cheeks, with her lipstick was all over Izuku's cheek. She then pulled his arm closer, wrapping it between her boobs. Psycho. I never get to thank you properly. Izuku was surprised. Mira blushed seeing this. But then Sylvie started to pout. Sylvie. Hey, not fair, he saved me a couple times too. She also leaned for a kiss, kissing his other cheek. They were both hugging his arms from opposite sides now. Izuku simply sighed, then he picked both of them up. Both. Eep. Izuku. Alright, Yuto, you are drunk and need a good sleep. Mira gasped and blushed looking at the three of them. And even felt jealous, but still helped Izuku take them to the bed. Psycho and Sylvie both woke up in Psycho's bed with a headache. Sylvie. My head, huh. Sylvie looked around to see herself in Psycho's room, and she was sleeping on the bed with her. Sylvie. Huh. Psycho also got up looking around. Then she saw Sylvie on the same bed looking at her confused. Slowly the memories of last night came back and the two girls blushed like crazy. Moments later Mira entered the room to greet Psycho. Mira. Lady Psycho, good morning. Good morning, Sylvie-san. Sylvie. Mira. Good morning. They were still blushing. Psycho. Mira. Did something happened yesterday? Hearing this Mira blushed. Mira. Well, you were both a little bit drunk. Respectfully I mean, and Sir Midoriya took you back here. I helped you get more comfortable. Psycho. Did we do something on the way back? Mira. Well, you were a bit daring, and you kissed Sir Midoriya, from the cheeks of course. And nothing else. And now that they got confirmation they blushed even harder. Psycho. Where is Izuku? Mira. He is talking with the Baron. He said that we will leave today. The breakfast should be ready soon. Psycho. Alright, Sylvie. I need to go down. I think they offer food for the people for now. Psycho. You can eat with us. I think it would make things easier if you are closer. Sylvie. Really? Thank you, my lady. The girls immediately got up and prepared themselves. After that they rushed out to eat. They were really thirsty and recovering from the hangover. They quickly rushed to the dining hall only to find the Baron eating alone. Psycho. Father, good morning. Sylvie simply bowed with Mira. Baron. Good morning, Psycho. Psycho. Wasn't Midoriya-san was with you? Baron. He was, but then he left to hunt his own food. He said he would return quickly. Psycho. Hunt his own food? I thought there is enough food in the stocks right now. Baron. Maybe he is preparing for the departure. While they were eating Izuku returned, carrying a large boar. Sylvie. Sir, you have returned. Quote. Mira. That is a big boar. Izuku. Don't mind me, you keep eating. I will deal with this. Izuku then left the room heading to the kitchen. In the kitchen he placed the boar on the ground first, then he prepared the counter. As he was preparing Lina came. Izuku. Lina. Hey mister. Good morning. Izuku. Are you here to eat? Lina. Yes. Mom told me to prepare, then we could eat. And I finished preparing. The moment she said that her stomach grumbled, Izuku simply chuckled. Izuku. I see. That's good. I was going to prepare this boar and eat some of it now. How about this, have you ever butchered a boar before? Lena. I didn't. Izuku. Well then how about I teach you how? Lena. Really mister? She cheered. Izuku just chuckled. Izuku. First let's get you something to snack on. He pulled out a few beef jerky for her to eat first. She grabbed it and ate a few while Izuku gave her a cup of milk to drink. Izuku. Children of your age need milk to drink. Drink this while eating. Lena. Okay mister. While she was eating, Izuku simply prepared the ingredients and knife he was going to use, which being his personal knife. Lena ate the food rather quickly. Izuku. Alright, come here. Izuku picked up the small girl and lifted her up to reach the counter. Izuku. For starters, you need to find the start point. Lena. Start point. Izuku. Yes. It can depend on the animal. And if you don't start at the right position, you will end up with more waste than you want. Not to mention you don't want hair on your meat, do you? Lena. No. She sticked her tongue out in disgust. Izuku. Well then. Second thing you need is a good knife. You can't cut it well if you don't got a sharp knife. You are still small, so you will be too weak to use a regular knife. That's why come with me. Izuku then pulled out his own dagger. Izuku. This dagger is made from a rare same as my sword. It will be really sharp, so be careful. She nodded and grabbed the knife gently. Izuku then grabbed her hands from behind and guided her to do the cuts. Izuku. First, cut the belly. You can start from its neck and going all the way down to its waist. Izuku directed her as she was cutting. Or more like Izuku was cutting while holding her hands. After making a clean cut, she smiled. Izuku. Next we will remove the internal organs. This is going to get messy, so let me do it. She nodded and Izuku pulled out the organs one by one. Izuku. Usually people don't eat these organs. But I know how to deal with it. I will do it later though. For now, let's continue. Izuku then continued to butcher the boar with Lena. As they were continuing, Mira, Psycho and Sylvie were all watching this from the corner of the while cooing. Mira. Husband material. Sylvie. He is good with kids. Psycho. Smile. With Izuku's help, Lena managed to skin the whole boar. Afterwards Izuku showed her how to cut different parts of the meat. After cutting it, only the skin was left. Lena. What should we do with the skin? Izuku. After processing it, we are going to keep it. There are lots of things we can do with the skin. Lena. Really? Izuku. Yes. The process takes a lot more time than just butchering it, but we will have plenty of time. First thing you can do though is removing all the hair. Lena. How can I do it? Izuku. Use the knife to scrape it. Izuku. Hold her hand once again. Izuku. Be gentle with this one. And hold the knife vertically. It is sharp enough to cut the fur just fine. Izuku then showed her the method he uses for this occasion while he himself was preparing the meat. After he was done, he turned to see Lena looking at him sheepishly and embarrassed. Then he looked at the damaged skin. Lena. My hand slipped. Sorry. Izuku just chuckled. Izuku. It is fine. I can use the small pieces anyways. Lena. Really? How? Izuku. A friend of mine showed me how to make a rock sling with small pieces of leather. The small pieces can be used to make one, and the longer pieces can be used to make straps. She was happy she didn't mess up. Izuku. This is your first try. So I can't be mad at you for failing. And since I am done with the meat, I can prepare some food for you. Are you still hungry? She nodded. Izuku. Alright. Izuku then cut a piece of meat he got and made a stew for her. Lena. Aren't you going to eat as well, mister? Izuku. I already did. Lena. When? Izuku. I don't exactly eat like others. Don't worry about it. Lena. Okay. She smiled. There was a bit of meat near her cheek. Once she eats, I am sure we can leave. Have you guys prepared? He turned to the women that was watching him from the corner. They all comedically fell down. Girls. OOWWW. They got up while blushing in embarrassment. Sylvie. You knew we were there. Izuku. You were 1,000 years too early to sneak up on me. Lena stopped eating and got down from the chair to greet Psycho, but Izuku, she just smiled. Mira. It is okay sweetie, don't mind me. Izuku. Keep eating Lena. It is fine. She nodded and kept eating. Izuku. That said, are you guys done preparing? Psycho. My luggage is all prepared. Mira prepared them excellently. Izuku. What about you two? Sylvie. Well, Izuku. What is it? Sylvie. Most of my belongings are damaged. Izuku. Sylvie. They were destroyed in the attack. Izuku. Oh, crap, right. My bad. Sylvie. And no, it is fine. It is just, everything I got left, is here with me. Mira. Well, me and Lena are somewhat in the same boat. But we were given uniforms and a few other things after I became a maid. So it should be fine for now. If anything, I can do laundry if we pass near a lake. Izuku. Fair. All right then, I will take the supplies to the carriage. I see you on the gate. With that, Izuku took the supplies he prepared and left. Later, everyone were in front of a large carriage. It had 6 windows total on the sides that were closer to the front of the and lamps on the corner. Back of the carriage was more exposed but had a wooden cage. And on the front there was a small deck with roof over it. The deck was leading to a door inside to the carriage, and one side had railings while other had deployable stairs. It wasn't fancy but it was quite big. Lena, Mira and Sylvie were marveling at how big it was. And Psycho, although saw bigger in her life, was still impressed with the size. But she was also confused. Izuku was loading the supplies. Psycho. Father, don't mind me asking, but where are the horses? A carriage this big would surely need at least 4 horses. Baron. We asked that too. But Midoriya Dono told us to keep the horses. Psycho. Why, Baron? He said something about training. But I didn't get it. Feel free to ask him. But she couldn't as Izuku turned to them. Izuku. All right, it is all set. You ladies get inside. They were confused but nodded. Once they were inside, Izuku closed the door. Then he walked up to the front of the carriage and lifted it up. Surprising everyone. Even the ladies inside. Mira got outside and looked at him. Mira. Are you going to pull this whole carriage by yourself? Izuku. It is good training. I will be fine. She was confused and worried but nodded. Then to everyone's surprise, Izuku started run. Izuku. We will be off then. He said as he was running, and he was also pulling the carriage with him in the same speed. Something that surprised a lot of them, he didn't even look like he was struggling. And he was running a lot faster than a horse. Girls. Keikaya. The girls in the carriage had to brace themselves due to the sudden pull. They all looked outside to see how fast Izuku was running, and it surprised them. They quickly left the city gates and onto the country road. Mira tried to get to the front deck, but due to the speed it was really difficult to keep her balance. But eventually he made it to the door and slightly opened it. Izuku heard the door creak and slowed down. But that didn't prevent her from falling to the ground. Izuku. Careful, it is not a really good idea to stand up. Was I going too fast for you? She managed to got back up. Sylvie, Psycho and Lena were also able to take a peek from the door. Mira. How are you running so fast? Are you using magic? Izuku. I am naturally this fast. And this is nothing. Normally it would take me a few days to get to the capital if it was just me. They were shocked hearing this. Izuku. Go back inside. I will drop my pace if it is too much for you. Sylvie. And no, we are fine. We were just shocked, that's all. Izuku. All right then. But you must go back inside and sit. And try not to stand up for a while. Once it feels normal to you should be fine, but still take caution. They went back inside and Izuku returned to his original pace. The girls inside were just sitting inside the carriage timidly. Suddenly the carriage shook a bit, startled them a bit. Girls. Eep. They were all sweat dropping everything that was happening right now. Psycho. Well, he is really fast. Mira. He sure is. Psycho. I mean, he was moving really fast when he was fighting that demon. Psycho. Right, he was. Lena. Big sis, Mr. saved you from that monster. Was he also this fast back then? Sylvie. Well, Lena, I was clinging onto him while trying not to look around, but I was able to feel the wind while he was moving. I can't really describe it though, it was really scary back then. She got timid. Mira. It was scary for sure. For all of us. Psycho. But in the end he was able to save us all. Mira. Yeah. That fire magic he unleashed was intense. I felt like it was daytime again. Sylvie. And what he did after. The whole sky was covered with clouds again and lightning bolts rained down on that thing with such power. I have never seen anything like that. Lena. It was so cool. I remember him carry big sis like a princess. Hearing this, Sylvie blushed a lot. Sylvie. Why yeah, but never mind that. I mean he did that to all of us. Mira and Psycho also remembered the time he also carried them in his arms. They also blushed. Mira. Right. That time he carried me to Lady's room. Psycho. Or the time he carried me all the way to the castle. While they were blushing, all Mira muttered. Mira. His arms are really firm. Lena. Firm. She turned to see Lena looking at her. She realized that she heard her. Psycho and Sylvie also heard her and blushed. Mira. They are. Psycho. His body felt quite toned when I slept on his chest. Psycho also muttered. Sylvie. Mira. You what? The two girls looked at her shocked and with a blush. Psycho froze. Then turned to them while steam was coming out of her ears. Psycho. I mean when I was poisoned and it was difficult to move. And the ground was too rough so he let me sit on his lap or sleep on his chest. This caused the girls to blush even more. Lena. What are you talking about? They turned to see Lena was just confused. Mira. And never mind sweetie. It is an adult topic. Lena. Okay, mom look. Mira turned to see what Lena was looking at. Then she saw several mountains lining up. Lena. I never seen mountains like that before. Mira. We are quite far away from the city sweetie. Seeing the conversation changed so quickly, both Sylvie and Psycho took a sigh of relief. The amount of embarrassment was too much for all the girls. Lena. You were talking about Mr.'s body. Then all ladies blushed once again. Mira. Well, Lena. He is really tall. And his hair is long and his face is scary. But he looks cool and he is nice. Hearing this, the girls chuckled. Mira. Yeah, he is. Sylvie thought about his face. Remembering his confident smile against that monster. But then she froze, remembering something. Her eyes widened. Psycho. Are you okay, Sylvie? Sylvie. Oh, I am okay. Sorry, I was just in deep thought. The girls all giggled among each other while continuing to talk about him. However, unbeknownst to the ladies, Izuku had really good hearing and heard most of the conversation. He would have listened all of it, but at the middle he decided to just focus on the surrounding. He simply sighed and chuckled at the women just gossiping about him. Night time. Mira was cutting the meat and Lena was helping her while Izuku was preparing the fire. Psycho was sitting with Sylvie and chatting. Once the food was ready, the ladies all sat down and ate together. Izuku, on the other hand, was eating another dish he made for himself. Psycho. This stew tastes amazing. Mira. Thank you. I added a few herbs and vegetables myself. But the meat was already seasoned and preserved. Thanks for that, Izuku-sama. Izuku. It is nothing. And like I told you, you don't need to call me that. Lena. Is that the cut you put in the small keg, mister? Izuku. It is. I prepared this separately from the rest of the meat. It has great taste for me, but regular humans cannot consume the herb. Lena. Regular humans. Psycho. I guess you aren't a regular person, but that sounds weird. Sylvie. Izuku-san. Izuku. Yes, Sylvie. Since you said that, I need to ask something. Izuku. What is it? Sylvie. Back when you saved me from that demon, I remember you smile with confidence, but also. She paused, confusing the girls. Psycho. What do you mean? Sylvie. I remember your eyes change. They didn't look human. They looked like it belonged to an animal, and your teeth was also really sharp. Izuku. I was wondering when you were going to ask me that. Oh well. Since you are all living with me for a while anyways, I guess I can tell you. Izuku's face then started to change. The girls all looked at him in shock as his current features. Izuku. I am not human. I am a member of a different race. Sylvie. Really? Psycho. Which one? Izuku. It is an extinct one. You don't need to worry about it for now. Girls. Extinct. The girls said with some worry. Izuku. As far as I am concerned, yes. I only knew one other person from my kind. I don't know if there is more of us left in this world. I can never know unless I actively search for them. Mira. I am sorry to hear that Izuku-san. Izuku. Don't be. I personally don't have much of a connection. Izuku said it while eating his extra seasoned meat with dwarven wine. As the night was going, the girls started to talk about things. As they were talking, Izuku grabbed his sword and started to inspect it. Psycho. What are you doing, Izuku-san? Izuku. Nothing major. Just inspecting my sword. He looked at the sharp edge, looking for any damages. Or any cracks. He was also inspecting the runes on the hilt. The sword was really big and he was sitting so together they covered a lot of area on the ground. Once he was done, the girls continued to talk. As time passed, Lena started to get sleepy, but she was trying to keep awake. But Izuku noticed it. Izuku. Lena. Yes, Mr. Izuku. I can see you're tired. Lena. And no, I am not. I can still. But Izuku just patted her head. Izuku. Kids of your age needs to get sleep. Otherwise you don't grow up, just go to sleep. She turned to Mira and Psycho. The two nodded with a smile. Then Lena started to fall asleep. Izuku pulled her on his lap. Izuku. Take a good sleep. Izuku put a blanket over her while she rested in his lap. After making sure that she wouldn't wake up, Izuku decided to talk. Izuku. Mira, I have a question about you and Lena. Mira. What is it, Izuku-san? I will. Izuku. Be blunt. You don't seem too old. At least you don't seem old enough to be considered a mother to Lena. I got a few ideas on how that can be the case, but hopefully I am wrong about them. Both Psycho and Sylvie were now looking at her. Both in confusion and worry since they saw the sad expression Mira had. Izuku. If it is a tough topic to express, I understand. Mira. And no, it is okay. Well, truth is, while we are related, she is actually my younger sister. Our dad died while mom was still pregnant. And due to her older age, the birth was difficult. She died shortly after the birth, leaving only me to take care of her. It was difficult. I had to take her to work with me a lot, and the paste they sold in the apothecary for babies wasn't exactly cheap. She paused. Izuku. Have you done it for money? She was silent while looking down. Tears were creeping on her face. Izuku. I see. She was then surprised when Izuku pulled her closer and hugged her reassuringly. At the same time he was patting Lena on his lap. Izuku. It must have been tough. But you did what you have to do for both of your sakes. I cannot judge or look down on that. She hugged him back while sobbing. Psycho and Sylvie also walked up and joined the hug. Eventually they all decided to call the night and needed to sleep. But there was a problem. Three ladies looked at Izuku with a blush, thinking they will be cramped in the small carriage with him. More they thought about it, more they blushed. It sounded both rather inappropriate and equally hot and romantic. But Izuku dealt with it quickly. The girls were all sleeping inside the carriage while he himself would be outside. He looked to see Mira was cuddling with Lena while Psycho and Sylvie were next to them. All cramped in the space, but still sleeping peacefully. Izuku chuckled and closed the door. From the distance Izuku was able to see the capital city. Looking at the familiar walls and the towers, Izuku smiled. However, he didn't really call them yet. From the distance they got, he knew it would still take them an hour to get to the gates. He would call them once they were close enough though. After half an hour Izuku stopped and put the carriage to the ground. Izuku. Girls. They all got out to see Izuku smile. Izuku. Look over there. They turned to see a line of massive walls, and even taller towers. All of them, even Psycho was in awe at how large the city looked like. Psycho. I have been here before, but it is still far larger than I remember. Izuku. You were most likely a little girl back then. Lena. Those walls are huge. Mira. Incredible. Izuku. It is big, all right. Izuku then continued on carrying the carriage as they were approaching. This whole time the girls refused to go back inside to keep looking at the massive city in front of them. Once they were getting closer to the city, they were able to see large lines of people trying to enter the city. There were also lots of carriages and carts lined up in the larger gate. Sylvie. There are so many people waiting for entry. Izuku. Sure is. The city is huge and it is capable of housing a lot of people. Even right now there are a lot of empty houses waiting to be filled. Izuku then passed them, moving to a different section that looked empty compared to the rest. Psycho. Where are we going? Izuku. Due to my position and occupation, we will use a different section to enter. It's a good perk considering even nobles have to wait in the line unless they have the proper paperwork. Sylvie. Really? Mira. What about us? Izuku. I already got the documentations for all of you. Psycho. Really? When? Izuku. After the party. Slivy. Really? I thought you returned to the celebration. Izuku. That kind of celebrations was never my type. You girls were the only reason why I even stayed. They couldn't say anything. They simply blushed. Girls. Was that a compliment? As they arrived to the section of the gate, a well-armored guard stopped them. Izuku prepared the stair for the girls to come down. Together they walked with him. Mira and Sylvie were nervous since they didn't know how this would go despite what Izuku said. Psycho wasn't as nervous as them. Being a noble helped her in this regard. However, she too suddenly got nervous due to a guard approaching towards them. His armor looked nothing like the guards back in her city. She knew that was somewhat of a standard equipment. But this guard's armor looked far superior and shining. And the size of the man also didn't help her any better. Izuku, however, was calm. Guard. Identification and reasons for entrance. Izuku gave the man a few letters and the group followed the guard. After a few minutes they were all cleared for entry. Guard. Welcome back, sir. I hope your journey was peaceful. Izuku simply nodded. Izuku. All right, go back inside the carriage. We can enter. They entered as Izuku was pulling the carriage. But then he reached to a stable and stopped. Izuku. All right. Beyond here will require further documentation for the carriage. Which I don't and frankly don't need to. So we will walk. Once entering the city, the girls were mesmerized by what they were seeing. Buildings far larger and far taller than what they had back in their city. Almost endless lines of shops and vendors trying to make a profit, as seemingly endless amount of people just going on with their daily lives. And there weren't just humans. They were able to see people from all different races. Elves, beastmen, rabbit folk, dwarves, even some orcs. Slivy. So this is the capital. Mira. This is incredible. Lena. Those buildings are so huge. Izuku. Indeed. They are housing complexes. They are basically several houses stacked on top of each other. Mira. Really? Izuku. The emperor had a lot of inspiration from the other races and their way of living. Even hiring talented people. But enough of that. Come with me. They were all following Izuku. Izuku, being the gentleman he is, was carrying their luggage. Izuku. First let's head to an inn that I know. There we can drop your luggage and then go to the castle. Psycho. Sure. Izuku-san, once everything is done, can you give us a tour of the city? Izuku looked at the girls. They were all giving him the puppy eyes. Izuku tried to relent but failed. Izuku. Fine, I guess that will work. They all cheered and continued to go to the inn Izuku mentioned. Inside the inn, a staff member greeted them and clerk saw Izuku approach. Innkeeper. Mr. Midoriya. Welcome back. The usual room. Izuku. For now, I need to drop luggage, then I will head to the castle. Innkeeper. I see. We will help you with the luggage. Please enjoy your visit to the capital. Izuku. That will be good. Thank you. Mira. You know them. Izuku. I saved the owner's children. So he offered a limitless stay in a medium-sized room. It comes handy whenever I am here. Mira. That's awesome. Izuku. Well, I will put the luggage in the room, you wait outside. They nodded. As they left, however, Sylvie bumped into a man. They turned, see an old man wearing a cloak. It looked a little dirty and worn down. But the design looked somewhat fancy. Oh, excuse me, young lady. I didn't see you there. Sylvie. Oh, it is okay, mister. You don't look familiar. Are you new to the city? Sylvie. Oh, we are. Where are my manners? I am Sylvie, she said with a slight bow. Nice to meet you too, sweetie. Oh my. He turned to Psycho. Aren't you Baron Intelli's daughter? Goodness, you surely grown a lot. Hearing this, Psycho got surprised. Psycho. You know me. You look just like your mother. And I only saw you once when you were little, although we never officially met. Are those your maids? He pointed at Mira and Lena, and as he did, Izuku came out looking for them. Izuku. Alright, I put the lugga. Izuku froze looking at the man. Ah, Izuku. My boy, it's been a while. how was your travel? Izuku, seeing him, immediately facepalmed. Izuku. And here I was being hopeful. You picked to go out now. Can't an old man get to walk around the city? Speaking of which, have you gave these lovely ladies a tour around the city? Izuku. I will just aft. You did not. How could you? I knew Toshinori raised you better than this. He said with a teasing grin. Well, since that, how about it? Let's give these girls a tour around the city together. Izuku only sighed while smiling. Izuku. You and your antics. Well then. Girls, change in plans, we are going around the town. Psycho. Are you sure? You said you need to deliver important letters. Izuku. No, it is fine, let's go, old man. Alright. Girl were confused even more now since Izuku quickly changed behavior upon seeing the old man, but they were happy to have a tour around the city. They were walking around the busy side of the city while seeing people from many different races. Lena was especially curious to see some of them looked really similar. Especially the different kind of elves. Something the old man picked up on instantly. These people are quite interesting, don't you think, little girl? He asked to Lena while patting her shoulder. Lena. Those people all have pointy ears. They all had naturally good hearing, so a majority of them paused and turned to them. For some they were rather annoyed. Lena. Why is that, mister? The moment they saw the Dragonborn, their demeanor changed instantly. Crowd. Guys, it is the Dragonborn. Suddenly a large crowd of people gathered around them. The old man quickly covered his face while staring at him with a grin. Both Sylvie and Mira weren't used to people suddenly crowd them like this. Psycho was used to people crowding around her, but not this close since she always had bodyguards protecting her. They panicked a bit, but then they all saw the crowd cover Izuku. Izuku sighed and greeted them. Citizen 1. Dragonborn, you are back. Citizen 2. What was your latest journey like? Citizen 3. Did you kill a lot of monsters? Izuku. Yeah, I did. This time it was a high-class demon. Crowd cheered and Izuku just sighed more. Citizen 4. Are those ladies with you? Citizen 5. They are all beautiful. Citizen 6. Is she a noble? Even her maid is pretty. Citizen 7. A priestess of Mara. Izuku just calmed them down. Izuku. Alright, everyone, calm down. First of all, I killed a high-class demon in regions on the edge of the empire. These people are from there. First, this is Psycho Intelli, she is a noble from that region. I am escorting her for the time being. Next to her is her maid Mira and her daughter Lena. And finally there is Sylvie. We are in a party together. If any of you overheard what she asked and got annoyed, listen, they are new here, coming from a remote city at the edge, so this is most likely the first time the little girl here saw an elf, or this many different races. As such, don't be surprised if she just stares at some of you intensely. It is just curiosity. Some people nodded. Seeing him get crowded so easily, girls simply whispered to each other. Psycho. He is popular here. He is one of the misfit trio. They are always popular. Mira. Misfit trio. 3 people that passed the S-rank trials together. Izuku and his 2 best friends. After they became S-rank they took several missions together, accomplishing impressive tasks and making quite the name for themselves. Sylvie. That sounds amazing. All 3 of them are pretty powerful. They are all around the upper end of S ranks. I am expecting them to rank up soon. In fact, all of the ladies stared at the old man in amazement. Sylvie. No wonder he was able to defeat that high-class demon like that. The Wraith Demon. I know he killed those things before at least several times. Psycho. How do you know it was a Wraith Demon? Ups, looks like I said too much. Ha ha ha, but worry not, children, I will tell you very soon. Once the mob dispersed, Izuku sighed and turned to them. Izuku. You really like to make my job difficult. What? It is fun to see you suffer. Izuku didn't say anything. They simply left. As they were venturing the streets, they eventually came close to the market district, and that caused Izuku to smile. Sylvie. What is it, senpai? Izuku. Nothing. I just really like this part of the town. We are getting close to the market district. The food section is a place of wonder. They sell all sorts of things, exotic delicacies to the most common flour. I also quite enjoy being here. Mira. Are we? Yes. That part of the town really smells like powerful spices, and given his enchanted sense of smell, he picked up on that. Izuku. I also know the city, old man. Right. I forget that regularly, ha 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 ha. Old man laughed, teasing Izuku. Once they were in the district, girls were shocked to see how big it was. Countless vendors selling all sorts of exotic food. And the old man was right, the whole district smelled like spice. But Izuku was enjoying the smell. He would look around, going to the vendors all the time, while buying some exotic-looking meat and vegetables. Northern basilisk meat, southern spices, high rock pepper paste, and more. Oh, he is definitely planning to spoil himself tonight. Mira. I don't know what he is buying, but they look delicious. And they are. But it might be too spicy for you. Most humans cannot even consume some of the ingredients he is buying. Looking around, they also found a vendor that sold apple candy. Turning around, he noticed that Lena was staring at them. Her mouth was watering. Izuku chuckled and turned to her. Izuku. Let's eat lunch first, then I can get some for you. She smiled brightly with bright eyes. Izuku simply patted her head. Izuku then went to a vendor and grabbed sandwiches for them to eat. Once they were done, Izuku bought all of them apple candy. They enjoyed the taste. Then they continued to explore other regions of the market district. They arrived to see a lot of shops lined up together. They looked a lot more refined, not like the street vendors they saw earlier. Psycho. This part of the market district is close to the upper district. The inn we were staying is also close. Because of the proximity, more rich customers came here, hence the shops are well built. Izuku. Can't say the same thing about quality though. That's because you have no sense of fashion, boy. I am sure these ladies will enjoy it here. Izuku. My idea of quality is much different than yours. Psycho. I see. It doesn't seem so divided. There are water canals that divide districts, but other than that, nothing else. People are permitted to walk between locations. Security is quite tight despite the seeming lack of guards, so it doesn't really bother people. Even some rich pricks don't mind. They returned to the inn they were staying for the time being and they entered the room the innkeeper provided to them. Inside there they all took a rest. Psycho. It was tiring to walk all the time, and we still couldn't explore the city yet. Izuku. We are not done. I am simply here to get the things I got, not to mention, I need to finish my business with him. He said while pointing the old man. Sylvie. Right, we still don't know who you are. Well, since we are in private, might as well, it is time for introductions. Izuku. It is. And quick warning, girls. Don't panic. He said, confusing them. They turned to the old man who was smirking. Then he took his hood off, revealing fine clothing and symbols of royalty. Now he looked like a king all of a sudden. Izuku. Girls, meet my boss, grandfather figure, and a royal pain my ass, Emperor Nezu. For a moment the girls froze. Then they began to panic as they realized that they were on the presence of the emperor himself. Before they could shout, Izuku shushed them. Izuku. SSS shish. The froze again, shaking. They all collectively covered their mouths and instantly kneeled before him. Nezu only chucked at their reaction. Mira even pulled Lena down since she was a bit slow on catching up on the situation they were in. Nezu. Ha 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 ha, I love it when people freaks out. It is a classic. Get up, girls. As you can see, we are not in the palace and I am not wearing a crown, so no need to be formal. They got up hesitantly. Both Sylvie and Mira were still shaking and speechless. Psycho managed to speak. Psycho. Izuku, why aren't you bowing? He is the emperor. Nezu. He bows to no one. And I mean that literally. Didn't bow when we first met, won't bow now, nor he will bow to anyone in the future. Psycho. Oh, my lord, for what purpose, why you are here? Izuku. This is his hobby. He likes to walk around the city undercover. It also helps him understand the current trends and problems. Mid and lower city is quite fun. It also helps me manage the city better. Anyways, we are not done exploring the city though. I am heading to the lower areas and the slums next. You can join us if you crave adventure. Psycho. My lord, would that be safe, even with Izuku here? Ha 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 ha, relax. It will be fine. Izuku. And besides, I am not the one to protect him. Sylvie. Why, you don't mean me, right, senpai? She was hesitant. Sure, they were with an S rank, but for an F rank newcomer to escort the emperor himself was a kind of task far above she could physically and mentally manage. Izuku. You wish. That's your cue, just come out already. Suddenly the room was filled with people. They all had black-colored light armor, face masks, and high-quality gear. The girls froze in fear as Lena hid behind Myra's leg. Izuku. Relax. They are friendly. They are the Eye of Shadow, elite members of the Imperial Intelligence. One of their tasks involved protecting him. Though I am surprised to see you here. Izuku said while turning to a man who looked different than the others. He had more armor and red bandana, along with the chain whip and kusagurama he was carrying. Psycho. Do you know him? Izuku. SS rank adventurer, Shota Aizawa, head of the Eye of Shadow, also known as Eraserhead. Hearing this he sighed. Aizawa. Revealing my identity to public civilians is a crime. You know that. Izuku. Says the guy who can erase memories. And besides, are you afraid that a maid, a little girl, an F-rank love priestess, and the daughter of a backwater land baron might become a trouble for you? Who the fuck is even gonna believe them if they snitch? Aizawa. You never change, problem child. Speaking of backwater lands, have you dealt with the demon? Izuku. Reports right here. Izuku said, pulling the report out, gave it to Aizawa. Izuku. I would give it to the Emperor, but clearly he won't read it till tomorrow. Nezu. Yeah, I want. Anyways, Shota, do what you need to do and go back to the palace. Rest of you can carry on with the security mission. But with the Dragonborn here, I highly doubt you will be any of use. He said with a smirk. Izuku just sighed. Nezu. You girls wanna tag along or not? Girls. Well, Izuku. Up to you. But it might be difficult for Sylvie. Nezu. Why is that? She seems like healthy young lady. Izuku. Because she can sense anger. Nezu. Oh, you possess that ability, young lady. That's quite rare. Aizawa. That needs to registered, and the higher-ups of your order must be informed. It will definitely gonna make her sick if she walks around there. But it is your call. Sylvie. I think I can manage. I wanna know more about this ability of mine. Once they all agreed, Shota used a spell. The girls looked dizzy for a moment. Once they got their bearing, they stared at him confused. Girls. Who are you? Shota didn't say anything, he simply disappeared, and so did the others. Nezu. Just ignore him, he is socially awkward. While he was on his way back to the palace, the other spies followed Nezu like a shadow. The girls were with Izuku and Nezu. They continued to venture in the city, this time even visiting some of the more dangerous places. There Nezu would talk with beggars on the roads, orphans that are either running away or trying to steal something, even some low-time thugs trying to pay off their department. All this time the girls were a bit nervous given the people were staring at them a lot. And Sylvie felt sick the whole time. But most of them didn't even dare coming closer, since they all knew about the infamous Dragonborn. Not to mention Izuku would also discreetly make hand signs to the shadows, alerting the soldiers about potential dangers lurking around. After they are done, they went back to the market district exploring its other areas, even passing some blacksmiths and other shops that sold equipments. Izuku. This reminds me. Sylvie. Yes, senpai. Izuku. You could use new equipments. Sylvie. Oh, but I don't have such money. This staff was given to me by the church. Izuku. You gonna need better equipment once you start to practice with your new ability, it is on me. Nezu was going to say something, but realized that Izuku had other plans, so he decided to stay silent while smirking internally. Nezu. He is in deep thought. Interesting. Sylvie. Really? Thank you so much, she said with a smile. Nezu. Ain't you a generous one? Now let's go, there is still so much more of the city that you need to see. Nezu said with a teasing tone. Girls all nodded while smiling and followed the two. Elsewhere. Citizen. Girl. Kya. Lots of people instantly backed away as a man and a group of girls walked up to the section of the gate Izuku entered from. He had a smirk on face. He was a bulky man with a lion fur turned into cape on his back. But his intimidating smirk wasn't the reason why people were backing away. They were all afraid of the thing on his back. He approached to the guards and presented his ID. ? 1. You are in a good mood. ? 2. I can smell it, they are both here, I am sure of it. ? Question mark question mark question mark. 3. Hee hee, I wonder how they will react when they meet the little fella. A woman said while covering herself. And on her arm underneath the robes she wore, a baby cried. Question mark question mark question mark. 3. Shish, it is okay. Papa is just scaring away weaklings, that's all. Then one of the girls looked up to see something in the sky. Question mark question mark question mark. 4. Holy shit guys, look. He looked up to see an airship arrive to the city was hovering above the sky. Narrowing his eyes, he saw a flash of light appear and fly to the city. Then he smirked. Question mark question mark question mark. 2. Ha, you ain't beating me, dipshit. He grabbed the woman with the baby and rushed forwards, leaving the others with the guards. A few of them sighed and smiled. Question mark question mark question mark. 5. He is excited for sure. There was one final girl that was silent. She was giddy with excitement. This was the day she was going to meet him again. Moments ago in the airship another man in a noble's attire was carrying a large keg to the edge. Question mark question mark question mark. 6. Big brother, what are you doing? Question mark question mark question mark. 7. Going ahead. You guys have fun. He simply jumped with the keg and engulfed himself in fire and fly forwards. Question mark question mark question mark. 6. Big brother, wait. Question mark question mark question mark. 8. Leave him. Guards know him enough to not ask questions. With Izuku. That night inside the Adventurers Guild, Izuku sighed while drinking a cup of dwarven ale. Psycho, Sylvie and Mira were sitting with him just enjoying their drinks. Nezu had already returned to the castle by himself, if you don't count the hidden guards, that is, leaving Izuku to his thoughts. Izuku. So much for just a walk around the park. Flashback. Nezu was finally satisfied with his journey and decided to return to the castle. Nezu. All right kiddo, I am leaving. It was a good journey. Izuku. This took longer than usual. Perhaps he is done with the report. Nezu. Maybe. Oh, and before you go, the others are arriving shortly. Izuku raised an eyebrow. Izuku. Who? Nezu. Everyone. Izuku. Are you holding a ceremony or something? Nezu. Oh right, you weren't informed yet. Izuku. What happened? Nezu. A new S-rank dungeon is discovered. Hearing this, Izuku's eyes went wide. Izuku. What? Why wasn't I informed? Nezu. Because I figured you could learn when you return. And quite frankly, you have other duties to attend anyways. The rookies won't train themselves. Izuku. Sigh. Fair. Then it is not just Katsuki and Shoto I am expecting to see here. Nezu. Ah, someone is missing his friends. Izuku. Nezu. Ha 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 ha, anyways I gotta go kiddo. See ya. Flashback ends. Izuku just sighed thinking about it. Izuku. That old fart. Really likes to annoy me. The other girls simply sweat dropped. Sylvie. Sue, an S-rank dungeon. Have you entered inside one, senpai? Izuku. I did. Sylvie. How was it? Izuku. It was large. Sylvie. Ooh, I suppose dungeons are large places. Izuku. Depending on its rank, the size and the power of its inhabitants change drastically. S ranks are especially massive on the inside. Sylvie. I wonder if I ever grow strong enough to enter one. Izuku. Quite the opposite. Pray that you never have to be inside one. Sylvie. Why? Izuku. Remember the demon I killed. Even beings with such power can be disturbingly common inside one. Hearing this, the girls gasped. Sylvie. Why, you are kidding. Izuku. I wish. The raiding party will be massive. It is a pity I am not one of them. Psycho. I mean, he said you have other duties. Izuku. I suppose it is fair. At least I know they won't be a part of the raid either. Mira. Who? Izuku. My two buddies. They are also becoming teachers with me. Psycho. The misfit trio. Izuku. Yes. Before he could talk more, suddenly the door opened and a man entered with a keg. Sweet fucking Akadosh, what is this smell? Who let this animal inside? He said with a smirk while pointing at Izuku. Izuku recognized the voice and turned. Then he smirked. But the girls took offense to that. Psycho. Hey, that's rude. Sylvie. Please take that back, sir. Mira. That man is a great and a noble warrior. Izuku. Ha 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 ha. They turned to see Izuku laugh. Izuku. You are alone. I didn't know you were capable of leaving your fancy castle by yourself. Oh yeah, not all of us can smell the scent dwarven booze 4 miles away like you. Izuku. Ha, take a sip will ya? I assure you, it won't hurt your pretty stomach. Ha 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 nah I got beer. He said while rolling the keg on the table right in front of Izuku. Then he pulled out a cup himself. For fuck's sake though, why are you drinking it warm? Izuku. I am not wasting mana to cool my cup like you. Ha 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 ha, you have no taste. When the man approached Izuku, the girls took a good look at him. He had red and white mixed well together. He wore a blue nobleman's outfit, but it was still not flashy. Additionally, he also had a robe and light armor underneath. Was nearly as tall as Izuku and quite fit looking. He also had a few scars on his good-looking face, including a burn scar on his eyes. On his waist there was also a sword hanging. Izuku. Been a while brother. It sure did brother. Quote. Izuku got up and they hugged like brothers. Then they sat down in front of each other. He poured a good beer on his cup and cooled it down with ice that he just created from his hand. The two then cheered cups. The girls stared at them in awe. Psycho. You know each other. Izuku. The prince here is Shoto Todoroki, second son of the great King Enji Todoroki, and a fellow S-rank adventurer. Girls got shocked and got up. But before they could got up to greet him properly, Shoto used telekinesis magic to stop them. Shoto. It's all right. No need to get up. Girls stopped resisting and just sat down. Shoto. Who are the ladies? Izuku. This is Psycho Intelli. Shoto. Baron Intelli's kid. Izuku. Yes, Shoto. How was the mission? Izuku. Could have been better, I did fucked up though. Shoto. Really? Izuku. Yeah. See her, pointing at Sylvie, this is Sylvie in F rank. Sylvie got embarrassed being pointed out. Shoto. Amara priestess. Wait. Izuku. Yep. Not sure when how long she had it, but she is a blessed one and I failed to notice that. Shoto. Ha, that's a rare ability girl, how are you not discovered before? Sylvie. I don't know sir. Shoto. Drop the honorifics. What are you calling him? Pointing to Izuku, call me the same. Sylvie. Oh, okay senpai. I don't know, I didn't know I had those powers until senpai clarified to me. Shoto. You sure? In your case, Mara priestesses usually manifest it around the age of 13, no one picked up on the signs. Izuku. I plan to look into it. Shoto. Now I am also interested. Let's do it later. Izuku. Sure. Other than that, the demon wasn't a big trouble, but I arrived later than hoped. Got ambushed by cultists. Shoto. Better late than sorry I guess. Izuku. Yeah. Last but not least, these are Mira and Lena. Mira is Psycho's maid, and Lena is her daughter. Shoto. I see. Nice to meet you. Mira. Greetings sir. Shoto. No need to call me sir unless it is an official event. Noble or not, we are all human. Girls were left in awe. Especially Psycho. Sure she was a noble too, but not as high ranking as him. So it was surprising to see a man of his rank seemed so humble and friendly. Then they heard an explosion from outside. Then they heard people scream in fear. Some adventurers went outside to see the commotion and they were also scared now. The two on the other hand smirked. Izuku. Ha, he is last. Shoto. How come? Izuku. 10 gold says he was chased by the guards. Shoto. Nah, 20 gold says she was trying to pull him inside a fancy clothing shop she found. 30 gold for both. Then a man entered inside with a woman. The man was also just around the same height as Izuku and Shoto. He had blonde spiky hair and red eyes shining with excitement. He also a decent amount of beard on his face. He wore a lion fur cape and he was topless underneath it. On his waist 2 battle axes hung on each side and he wore brown pants with a fur belt around it. He seemed like was carrying something on his back. He has a beard. Next to him was a small woman who wore a fancy and sexy red wrap halter dress, high heels and a black cloak. The dress did not bother hiding her cleavage and large assets. But underneath the cloak she seemed like she was hiding something. She had pale white skin and long blonde hair along with red eyes as well. Her teeth was sharp and the canines looked like they belonged to an animal. "You dipshits dare exclude me. I will have you fucking heads for this," he said with a smirk. Izuku and Shoto got up to greet him. Shoto. "Ha, look who finally decided to come down from the mountain and get civilized." Izuku. "Been 18-month brother. Sure did brothers." Before he could hug them though, he walked up to a table and put the thing on his back on the table. Everyone were staring at it in shock. It was a humanoid being with rotten and a burned body. Its limbs were cut off and sealed with stakes were impaled to the wounds to prevent regeneration. It was also impaled with a larger stake that entered from its butt and exited from its mouth. It was wiggling what remained of its limbs while moaning in pain. He then pulled out a bottle of strong wine. Izuku and Shoto just hugged him. Mira, Sylvie, Lena and Psycho instantly freaked out upon seeing the creature. And so did everyone that saw it. Izuku. "You Katsuki, what you got there man?" Katsuki stared at them then looked at his wine. Katsuki. "Orc wine, and I am not sharing." Shoto. "Suit yourself. Is that a lich?" Katsuki. "Oh yeah, meet Greg, Himi's new plaything." The lich just moaned in agony begging to be killed for good. Hamiko. "Hi brothers, been a while." Izuku. "Sure did sis. You look good, you got something there." Hamiko. "Oh I sure do." Izuku. "Shoto, there is someone we need to introduce you to." Izuku. "What's up?" Hamiko then deactivated the noise-canceling spell and revealed what's underneath the cloak, revealing a baby with blonde hair and red eyes. Seeing this both Izuku and Shoko spit their drinks and stared at the baby. Both. Hua. Hamiko. "This is our daughter, Vanessa. Vanessa, meet your uncles." Izuku and Shoto were both staring at the baby intensely. Then they both turned to Katsuki instantly. Izuku. "When did you?" Shoto. "When was she born?" Hamiko. 5 months ago. Izuku. "And you didn't informed us of her pregnancy." Shoto. "Or didn't called us for the birth." Katsuki. "It just happened okay. Then things happened and I forgot." Both. "Bullshit." Katsuki. "Fuck it whatever. Shit happens. Isn't she adorable?" Katsuki started to play with the baby making a goofy face. Both Shoto and Izuku were feeling extremely happy. Izuku. "I am the fun uncle." Shoto. "Like hell you are." Izuku. "You wanna fight me Ice Prince?" Shoto. "Bring it salamander." The two stared at each other releasing powerful auras, but Hamiko stopped them. Hamiko. "As interesting as it seems, not here." The two stopped and they sat on the table. The lich was lust leaning to the side while moaning. Then a bunch of guild clerks rushed to them. Clerk. "Sir, please you cannot keep that thing here." Clerk 2. "It is dangerous and needs to be killed." Katsuki. "Relax, it is fine. Himi already dealt with its magical abilities. It is just an undead with no power. Completely safe." Izuku and Shoto approached to it. Shoto casted a spell to analyze further. Shoto. "He is right, its mana is irreversibly blocked. I only see a slight flow to her magical bag." Izuku. "That must be its connection with the phylactery. The moment it's damaged, this thing will cease to exist." Hamiko. "Yep. We are keeping it here." Hamiko pulled out a jar that was filled with a magical liquid. Hamiko. "Blood bomb. The moment anyone or anything other than me or Katsuki touches it, it will explode and destroy the talisman. I can even trigger an explosion if I touch him." The clerks tried to argue but they failed. Then they left. Then the group got seated. Girls then whispered to each other. Psycho. "She must be skilled in magic." Sylvie. "Yeah. Maybe an adventurer as well." Hamiko. "Oh, didn't realize we got company. Who are the ladies?" Girls paused. Izuku then introduced them the girls. Izuku. "This is Katsuki Bakugo. S-rank adventurer and the current leader of the northern barbarian tribes. And that's Hamiko Toga, Katsuki's main wife and a noble herself. Speaking of, where is the rest of your harem?" Hamiko. "They are going to the castle directly. Maybe they meet up with Shoto's family there." Izuku. "Can happen." Shoto. "Oh by the way, we arrived with Old Man Shield and ride his airship here." Katsuki. "It's repaired." Shoto. "Seemed like it was fine." Katsuki. "About fucking time they fixed it." Hamiko. Indeed. Then Izuku introduced girls to Katsuki. Then they continued to talk. Katsuki. You heard of the new S-rank dungeon? Izuku. Yeah, Emperor just informed me. Shoto. Father said he is leading the charge. Great Queen Kathleen and Old Man Shield might also join. Katsuki. Ha, really, Shoto? Yeah. Can't talk much here though. Izuku. Fair enough. Still heroes party rarely unties for a job. Shoto. Too bad we won't be in the action. Izuku. Chuya also joining in. Shoto. He is. Which made mom anxious. Izuku. He is SS rank, he should be fine. Hamiko. Now that I am a mother, I understand her. Izuku. I bet, all parents want their child to be safe. Katsuki. True. While drinking, Lena walked up to the baby. She curiously looked at her. Hamiko noticed that and patted her head. Hamiko. Come here, little one. Lena did so. Hamiko let the girl pick up Vanessa. Lena. She is small and her skin is pale like you. Katsuki. Yeah. Definitely got that from her mother's side. Lena. Are you a high elf, miss? Hamiko started to laugh. Hamiko. Ha 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 ha, no I am not. What made you think that? Lena. I saw high elves earlier today, they had pale skin. Hamiko. But I am sure not as pale as mine. Lena. No, are you a demi-human too? Hamiko. Yep, I am actually a vampire. Hearing this, Mira, Psycho and Sylvie panicked. Hamiko smirked and showed her sharp teeth. Girls. SS she what? Mira tried to reach for Lena but Izuku stopped her. Izuku. Relax girls, her coven is one of the friendly ones. They are under the Emperor's protection. Katsuki. And if she was dangerous, I would have killed her long ago. Hamiko. Relax girls, I won't drink her blood. I am a woman of class. I am perfectly satisfied with darling. Or maybe these two if I absolutely need to. Usually I drink animal blood or monster blood, or the blood of our enemies. She said the last part with a smirk. Girls paused, reluctantly Mira let go. Psycho. How did you even met? Katsuki. Her coven was in a war with another. Said coven was kidnapping people, including kids. At first, other hunt parties were sent but they never returned, so I took the task to deal with it. Hamiko. Later, he accidentally attacked our coven thinking it was them, and after he killed dozens of our soldiers, real culprits attacked us as well with their upgraded flesh golems. To our surprise, he stopped attacking us and charged at them. Girls. Why? Katsuki. Because they were holding the ID tags of the dead adventurers as trophies. Hoping that would scare me, but I killed them instead. Hamiko. He and I tag teamed and defeated the leader. Seeing him fight so ferociously was arousing for sure. Katsuki. Indeed. It was love at first sight. Hamiko. Since I am a noble, I requested to be sent as a diplomat to the Empire. This way, we could forge an alliance and I could be close to him. Two birds, one stone. Later he introduced me to the tribes, after the marriage we formed an alliance with them. Katsuki. There you have it. Sylvie. Sorry, I just heard terrible stories of vampires. Hamiko. Ones that prey on innocent lives. You are not wrong. But that's mostly the work of those stray thralls. Sylvie. Stray thralls. Izuku. There are several types of vampires. Pure blood vampires, mixed blood, hybrids, and thralls. Pure bloods are all nobles and their descendants from other pure bloods. Hybrids are the descendants of pure blood vampires with any other race. Thralls are those who later become vampires, and mixed blood are vampires who descent from any vampire lineage, most commonly from thralls. Becoming a vampire thrall isn't exactly a natural process and it takes time for body to completely adjust. So they require periodic blood from their vampire masters. Depending on the master's purity, it can take even centuries, and the thrall craves for it too. Hamiko. Stray thralls are greedy fools who blinded by the concept of eternal youth and seek out a vampire to turn them. However, in their ignorance, they either ran away from their master, or worse kill them and drink all of their blood at once. The latter happens far more common than former. The problem is, drinking all of master's blood isn't enough to complete the progress, and as the time passes, they crave more and more of the master's blood since they are incomplete. However, because the master is dead, they can no longer obtain it. To satisfy themselves, they prey on the people. This does satisfy them to some degree but never completely. It is just a means to buy time. Eventually their cravings return stronger than before and they end up drinking more blood to relieve themselves. This just spirals downward until they became too deranged. Girls. Ooh, Katsuki. Sliver lining, she is safe. Pure blood vampires do not require blood as much as others. At worst she drinks a sip of my blood once a month, smirk, or during sex. Hamiko. Hee hee, I like it when my belly is stuffed from both ends. They then kissed each other. Luckily Shoto covered Lena's ear at the right time. Shoto. Ignore the last comment, he said while patting her. Then they left the place and headed to the castle. On their way Izuku and Shoto were arguing a lot over who would have the right to become Vanessa's godfather. Hamiko however stopped them. Hamiko. You can both be his godfathers, you know. I absolutely don't mind. Both. Fine. Once they arrived they entered without any issue. Then they entered a large room where Katsuki and Hamiko would reside in. This whole time the girls would stare at Izuku and blush. Hamiko picked up on that and whispered to Katsuki. He simply stared at him with a smirk. Katsuki. Cheating on Katsumi are we? Shoto. Or Yukiko? Shoto said without any hesitation. Izuku on the other hand spit dropped. And the girls blushed hearing this. Izuku. The fuck, Katsuki. Don't you remember your promise back then? Flashback. No, I refuse. I will marry Ai-chan and no one else. A girl wearing barbarian attire yelled in front of Izuku, Katsuki and Mitsuki. She was quite determined. Katsuki. Give it up and accept it, mate. Katsumi can be stubborn. Mitsuki. She is my daughter for sure. Izuku simply sighed and crouched down at her level. Izuku. Look, Katsumi. You must be at least 10 years older for me, even consider young lady you got that. He said almost with a scolding manner. Given she was not really patient, he hoped that she wouldn't be able to wait that long. But the girl only stared up at him with star eyes and smirked. Katsumi. Really? Then I will wait. Izuku didn't even know what to say. For a hot-headed girl, she sure sounded patient. Flashback ends. Izuku. Sigh. I remember. But back then I just hoped that she would get too impatient and give up. Katsuki. Ha 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 man. Hamiko. She actually put a lot of effort, you know. Izuku. She did. Shoto. So did Yukiko and Momo. She, Momo Katsumi, and Melissa only became rivals when they realized they like you. Izuku. Izuku didn't say anything. He just thought about it. Sure, he cared for them. But he wasn't sure if it was romantic love. Then again, he is usually too busy to think about such things. Then they heard the door open violently with an explosion. Chan. Izuku turned, only for the woman blast towards him in full speed and knock him to the ground. Then the woman ended up sitting on his waist due to the fall. Izuku stared up at the girl. She had ash blonde hair tied to a ponytail. Unlike Katsuki, her hair was silky and her eyes were a different color. She wore brown leather bikini top underneath a fur cape, one that showcased her large breasts well. She wore a brown leather skirt that looked really short and could reveal her butt the moment she were to bow down. The strings on the said skirt were tense, as if they were about to rip apart. She also wore leather thigh-high boots with high heels along with leather gauntlets with spikes. She had a one-handed axe with her behind her waist. Izuku. You, Katsumi. Katsumi. Been a while. I missed you so much. So, Katsumi simply leaned forward while looking at him with a blush and a grin. Katsumi. Giggle, am I old enough now? Izuku was too shocked to even react to this. Other girls also stared at her in shock as wide mouths. Katsumi was reaching closer and closer to Izuku's face. But before she could do something they heard another voice. Question mark question mark question mark. 2. Get off of him. Suddenly another woman appeared and grabbed Katsumi from behind and yanked her away. Izuku got up to see her. The girl had red and white hair with blue eyes. She wore a shoulderless and armless blue wrap halter dress that was fully open in the front area, revealing her stomach and inner side boob perfectly. The dress was long, reaching all the way to the ankles and slit open, revealing on of her legs up to her thighs. To top it off, she wore matching high heels. She was just as sexy as Katsumi, with similar curves and large breasts. But she was more refined. Izuku. Yukiko. Yuki. Hey Izu. It's been a while, huh? Do you like my outfit? I picked it for you, she said somewhat shyly with her arms behind her back, fully showcasing her assets. Izuku. You have grown. Yukiko. Had to happen sometime. She then reached for a hug but Katsumi got back up angry. Katsumi. You bitch, that was supposed to be my moment. Yukiko. I refuse to let your filthy ass be anywhere near my future husband. They then started to argue. And because of that, they didn't notice the other two girls also entering the room as well. Question mark question mark question mark. 3. Izuku. Suddenly an elf ran past them. She had black hair tied to a ponytail and black eyes. She had pale skin indicating that she was a high elf. She wore a gray bikini armor that wrapped around her neck with a metal guard. It revealed her cleavage perfectly. Additionally, she had spiked shoulder guards and metal gauntlets. Underneath that she had an armored gray mini skirt and dark metallic thigh-high boots with high heels. It was rare for elves to dress the way she did. But she didn't care. All she cared was that her beloved and savior was here and she finally reunited with him. She jumped on Izuku and hugged him. She wrapped her legs around her to tighten the hug. She looked like she was about to cry. Question mark question mark question mark. 3. I missed you so much. Izuku looked up to see the tears creeping from her eyes. Izuku only chuckled and hugged her back. Izuku. Good to see you too, Momo. I hope Todoroki's took care of you well. Momo. They did, but I would have much preferred being with you. Unfortunately, there was still one more person waiting for her turn. Last person didn't walk up to him. Instead, she was sitting on a floating broom. She had long wavy blonde hair and blue eyes. She was wearing a red wrap halter top that arched and connected to her skirt with a brass. It was completely shoulderless, revealing her fair smooth skin well along with her breasts. She had red gloves with long black sleeves and a witch hat was shadowing her body nicely. She also wore a long red skirt that looked really tight on her. And she had red thigh-high boots with high heels. She flew behind Izuku and hugged him from behind. He saw her coming but he couldn't do anything about it. Question mark question mark question mark. 4. My am I the last one, Izu? I know you the longest and still you approach them first over me. Izuku reached for her head and patted her. Izuku. Hi Melissa. You look good. Melissa. Don't think compliments will save you, mister. You owe me years of cuddles and kisses. Yukiko. Damn it, Momo. I was supposed to hug him first. Momo. Stick tongue out. Finders keepers sister, you wasted your chance. Katsumi. Hey, I got him first. Get the fuck off of him. Melissa. I waited a long time for this, you will not stop me. Katsumi. And so did I, bitch, move it. Melissa. Make me. The four girls began to argue with each other. Izuku just sweat dropped and tried to calm them down. The whole time Katsuki, Himiko and Shoto laughed hard. Mira, Sylvie and Saiko watched this unfold from the sidelines. They were all blushing and feeling jealous. Suddenly they pulled him closer to themselves and hugged him. Mira, Saiko, Sylvie. I like him too. Suddenly Momo, Melissa, Yuki and Katsumi turned to them angry. Melissa, Momo, Katsumi, Yukiko. And who the hell are you and what are you doing with my husband? Izuku was looking at Shoto and Katsuki, hoping they would help, but instead Himiko was recording this with a memory crystal and they were just smirking and giving him a thumbs up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and now we will see you in the next video.